Chapter 2345. It was extremely dangerous for Qin Nan to head to the upper mystic realm. The reason being that apart from the terrifying forbidding auras in the upper mystic realm, the cultivators there were mostly peak rulers. It was extremely rare to find someone in the greater success stage of the ruler realm, let alone those in the early stage. Besides, when the Heaven Highness battlefield reached the intermediate mystic realm, there would be many living beings that were born due to various fortunate encounters. Not only were these living beings hostile to foreign cultivators, they were also born with the ability to control the force of the heavens and earth in the Heaven Highness battlefield, granting them outstanding strength. However, it was more interesting because of the danger. If the journey was smooth sailing, how could he possibly defy the heavens? According to the current time, a great fortunate encounter will appear in the upper mystic realm this month, but it's a precious treasure. It won't make much of a difference if I were to claim it. If it's next month. Qin Nan picked up the brush and started writing. A while later, he had written down more than 10 fortunate encounters. I'll choose this one. Qin Nan pondered for a moment before deciding on the last one. The last fortunate encounter was different from the previous ones, as it was called the mystical martial gate. The gate was located somewhere in the east of the upper mystic realm. It had appeared 300 years ago. It was quite reputable in the upper mystic realm. Almost every ruler in the greater success stage knew about it. However, over the past 300 years, countless experts had tried to enter the gate, but none of them had succeeded. According to Senior Kasayapa's description, the gate was 9,999 zhang tall and 3,330 zhang wide. It was engraved with patterns of deities and demons, and had 5 gaps. Its aura was incredibly formidable, suppressing the area within a few 100,000 li. Once, a peak ruler had gathered a bunch of peak rulers and powerful creatures to destroy the gate with brute force, but they failed to do anything to it. They were even warned by the gate. That being said, the mysterious existence inside the gate also told the peak rulers that they would only be able to open the gate for 1,000 breaths if they gathered 5 different things. However, it did not tell them exactly what the 5 things were. Over the past 300 years, countless cultivators had tried their best to deduce the answer, but none of them had succeeded. This situation lasted until 5 months later, in year 2001, of the Saint Sky calendar, when a cultivator with the surname G found 5 supreme treasures and was able to enter. Later on, this cultivator's surname G came out of seclusion 10 years later from the divine profound martial gate. His cultivation soared, and his ranking on the heavenly ranking soared, entering the top 100. Later on, he successfully advanced to become an Empyrean powerhouse, leaving behind quite a legend. Many years later, Senior Kasayapa accidentally learned that the 5 items were traceless tears, heavenly monster blood, crimson radiant water, triple origin flames, and demon crystal divinity. I wonder if I will trigger a level 1 time and space force obstruction if I rush into the divine profound martial gate before this cultivator's surname G. Qin Nan shook his head. No matter what, he had to give it a try. I remember Senior Kasayapa mentioned that even though the 5 items are rare, I can still buy them in the human emperor city of the upper mystic realm. I shall make my way to the human emperor city now. Qin Nan murmured. He disappeared into the rift without further delay. Meanwhile, in a nameless mountain range of the middle mystic realm, wisps of the power of rules transformed into giant hands that forcibly captured the power of the treasure grounds nearby and gathered it in a 10-floored palace. Below the palace, there were countless runes that spread out in all directions like huge dragons. Soon, they covered a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles. It's done. Let's cultivate here for the next few years. The patriarch of the Heavenly Merit Palace withdrew his aura and said in satisfaction, I never thought so many of us peak rulers would gather here and be on standby for a ruler in the early stage. Another patriarch of the Dragon Elephant Island exclaimed. However, He did not have any complaints in his heart. Heavenly Venerate Long Ra had given them great benefits by asking them to come here. I say, brothers, what's going on? I still don't understand where this Lin Xiaoji came from. How could Heavenly Venerate Long Rua and Heavenly Venerate Yenming place so much importance on him? Is he going to grow to the level of those four? A middle-aged man said with a doubtful face. The four he was referring to were Tsang, Zhou Di, Huang Fuju, and Yi Zhaoxian. The Heavenly Merit Hall Master turned his head and looked at the 8 peak sovereigns on Ming Mingyan's side. He couldn't help but faintly smile as he said, I'm not too sure either. However, this little brother Lin is no ordinary person. We have specially come here to help him. Perhaps he will be of great benefit to us in the future. As soon as he said this, the remaining 14 peak sovereigns deeply agreed with him. Either way, Heavenly Venerate Long Rua and Heavenly Venerate Yenming were not idiots. They would not put in so much effort to do this for no reason. I think we shouldn't be curious about why. We'll understand in the future. Now we have another problem. We're here to make Lin Xiaoji owe the two of you a favor. But what if Lin Xiaoji doesn't come to us for anything in the next few years? What should we do? A peak ruler's eyes flashed and said, Why don't we think of a way to secretly create some trouble for Lin Xiaoji? Then we'll come out to help him. Isn't that better? The other peak ruler immediately shook his head and said, That won't do. Lin Xiaoji must be extraordinary for the two lords to think so highly of him. If he finds out, not only will he not owe us a favor, but he will also be dissatisfied with us. That makes sense. This kind of thing is still too risky. Let's wait here. We can go into seclusion to cultivate. The other peak rulers all spoke up. The patriarch of the Heavenly Merit Palace had a strange look on his face. When he recalled the first time he'd met Lin Xiaoji had almost been taught a lesson by him. Not much time had passed since then. There were a total of 15 peak rulers here, but they were trying their best to make Lin Xiaoji owe them a favor. Chapter 2346. The Human Emperor City was located at the center of the Upper Mystic Realm. It was built by a powerful living being with the help of many other living beings and formidable factions. Its true form was an ancient Tao-seeking weapon. It had also outlined the power of the heavens and earth within a few 100,000 li and set up various formations and forbidding auras. Even a Heaven Highness in the greater success stage would need a few days to destroy the city. Its outstanding strength had attracted many cultivators in the upper mystic realm, and even the intermediate mystic realm, and many living beings to come to the city to sell and purchase all kinds of treasures. Over time, the city had become an existence similar to a chamber of commerce. All kinds of rare and ancient treasures could be found in the city. In fact, on special occasions, the city would hold large-scale auctions, and the most precious treasures would be auctioned off. Even the complete legacy of a celestial would be auctioned off. It took Qin Nan around 10 days to reach the human emperor city. He paid a 7-moon stone of the heavenly Tao before he was allowed to enter the city. The streets made of some kind of ancient mines extended in all directions. There were all kinds of strange living beings and cultivators in the greater success stage of the ruler realm and above coming and going. Some of them stopped in front of the stalls. It was quite a lively scene. A ruler in the early stage? Qin Nan immediately attracted a lot of attention as soon as he entered the city. Some of the living beings' eyes even flickered with a hint of blood. Qin Nan was not too bothered. He secretly activated his void-piercing eyes and scanned the stalls on both sides. His eyes soon flickered with astonishment. Even though he was already prepared for it, the treasures on sale still gave him a great shock. He found 2 ancient Tao-seeking maps and a Heaven Highness weapon in just a short while. There were also some immortal herbs, strange stones, etc., that had extraordinary effect. Even he was intrigued by them. Qin Nan shook his head. After calming his thoughts, he began to search the place carefully. The human emperor's city was fairly huge. It had 388 streets in total. There were at least 1,000 stalls on each street. Therefore, Qin Nan's search took quite a bit of time. Time passed. 16 hours later, Qin Nan arrived at the 109th street. Suddenly, he stopped in his tracks. This should be the traceless tears and the heavenly demon's blood, right? Qin Nan's gaze fell on a vendor. The stall was not big, and there were only a dozen or so items scattered on it. 2 of them were light blue celestial jade bottles. Inside each bottle was a crystal-clear teardrop that looked like the purest teardrop in the world, and a pitch-black teardrop that was filled with a shocking aura. His blood was boiling. This was especially true for this drop of blood. If one were to look at it carefully, they would even see the illusion of a group of demons dancing wildly before their eyes. "Senior, how do I exchange these 2 items?" Qin Nan looked ahead and asked. The vendor was shrouded in a black robe. His face was hidden, and he was using some kind of artifact to conceal his aura. "Since you've recognized the traceless tears and the heavenly demon's blood, you must know their value. As long as you can give me something of equal value that's helpful to my cultivation, it'll be enough," the vendor said in a deep voice without raising his head. "Something that's helpful to my cultivation?" Qin Nan frowned slightly. He only had 2 heavenly Tao 8 moonstones left. It was obviously not enough. Then I'll have to ask the hall master for help, Qin Nan thought. He was about to transmit his thought when a voice came from behind him. "Hee, young man, why don't you let me buy these 2 items? I'll give you 3 heavenly Tao 7 moonstones. What do you think?" Qin Nan turned around and saw a young man in a blue robe. His hair was coiled up with a wooden hairpin, and he was holding a horsetail whisk in his left hand and a bronze compass in his right. The young man's eyes were glowing, and he had a natural smile on his face. His aura was only at the greater success stage of the ruler realm. "I'm sorry, but I don't plan to give these 2 items away." Qin Nan shook his head. "Young man, there's no need to reject so quickly." The young man squinted his eyes and transmitted his voice to Qin Nan's mind. "The traceless tears are used to clear one's mind and focus one's mind. It's most suitable for deducing martial arts. However, the heavenly demon's blood has a strong evil aura. It can only be used to forge some kind of treasure. I can tell from your aura that you're not a demon. You're a human. Normally, no one would buy these 2 items at the same time. Could it be that you intend to buy the Crimson Radiance water after buying these 2 items?" Qin Nan's heart skipped a beat, but he did not show it on his face. He transmitted his voice. "How should I address you?" The young man waved his horsetail whisk and brought his fists together. "I'm Ji Xian." Qin Nan was astounded. Ji? Was he the cultivator with the surname Ji who was the first to enter the divine mystical martial gate? It should be him. Qin Nan mumbled to himself. Ji Xian had only entered the divine mystical martial gate a few months later, which meant he was searching for the 5 treasures now. "So it's cultivator Ji. I'm Lin Xiaoji." Qin Nan returned the greeting and transmitted his voice. "I'm indeed looking for the crimson bright water. What can I do for you?" If Ji Xian wanted him to give up these 2 items, it would be impossible. Ji Xian lowered his voice and said, "Young man Lin, let's not beat around the bush. I believe you know which 5 items you need to enter the divine mystical martial gate. To tell you the truth, I've already gotten the crimson bright water and the triple primordial flame. However, the map I obtained last time was only an incomplete map. I do not know what the 5th item is. May I ask if young man Lin knows?" Qin Nan said with a calm smile. "I do know what the 5th thing is. Cultivator Ji, are you thinking of joining hands with me?" Ji Xian's eyes glittered. He nodded and said, "That's right. I'll buy these 2 items and put them in your hands. After that, you'll bring me to the 5th item and we'll head to the divine mystical martial gate together. What do you think?" "Of course, if you're willing. We'll swear an immortal demon oath right now." Qin Nan was slightly surprised. It was not because of anything else, but because of Ji Xian's offer. He was getting a great deal out of it. Chapter 2347. Qin Nan nodded and said, "If that's the case, shall we swear the oath together?" The oath was a lot stronger than the oath of the immortal demon Dao. Although there were many ways to break the oath, they would come at a great cost. Of course. Ji Xian was overjoyed. He swore the oath without hesitation. Qin Nan swore the oath too. Following this, Ji Xian collected the traceless tear and the heaven beast blood and placed them in Qin Nan's storage bag. "Brother Lin, can you tell me what the fifth item is?" Ji Xian asked impatiently. "Have you heard of the demonic crystal of great development?" Qin Nan asked in return. "The demonic crystal of great development? That's the fifth item?" "That's right, the demonic crystal of great development is an artifact of the demonic path. If it's combined with the other 4 items, wouldn't it be?" Ji Xian muttered to himself. After a long while, he regained his senses. "Brother Lin, if that's the case, we'll have to pay the Demon Valley a visit." Ji Xian was startled. "The Demon Valley? You can't find it in the human Emperor's city?" Qin Nan asked. Brother Lin, you might not know this, but the demonic crystal of great development only exists deep inside the Demon Valley. It's extremely difficult to find it. Besides, it's extremely useful to demonic cultivators. Normally, only demonic cultivators would go to the Demon Valley. If anyone were lucky enough to find it, they wouldn't give it away. By the way, Ji Xian paused for a moment, then said, "The depths of the Devil Abyss Valley are extraordinary. Even peak sovereigns face the risk of dying in there. We need to find more people." Qin Nan said with a calm smile, "That won't be necessary. I'm a demonic cultivator myself. I can guarantee our safety." Saying this, Qin Nan's eyes turned pitch black as wisps of demonic intent burst out from them. Ji Xian was slightly startled before he said, "Hee, that's great. Let's head there now." Without any delay, the two of them quickly left Renhuang City and flew in the direction of the Demon Valley. "That's right, Brother Lin, which faction are you from?" Ji Xian was quite curious about Qin Nan, who was only at the early stage of the sovereign realm. "I used to be in Sword Melody, but I left. Now I'm a solo cultivator." Qin Nan did not hide anything. Little Brother Lin, I see that the two of us hit it off quite well. Do you want me to read your fortune? Let's see what your fate is like in the future." Ji Xian suddenly said mysteriously. "You know how to read fortunes?" Qin Nan was surprised. "Of course." Ji Xian raised his chin and said proudly, "I'm not bragging, but in the current primary upper realm, if I claim to be second in divination and deduction, no one dares to claim to be first. Little Brother Lin, I don't mind telling you that I've spent a whole year divining the fate of the primary upper realm. I discovered that the primary upper realm is going to undergo a great change in the next 400 years. Little Brother Lin, you should hurry up and improve your strength. You should build a secret place for your safety." Qin Nan was startled. It was true that in 200 years, Song, Zhou Di, Huang Fuju, and Yi Zhaoxian would achieve the Supreme Highness realm. It would not take long for the 4 of them to have a great battle that would sweep across the entire primary upper realm. Qin Nan's gaze toward Ji Xian was slightly different. Although that guy did not manage to calculate the exact date, it was already extremely heaven-defying for him to be able to deduce that great change. That was no simple feat. Ji Xian was pleased when he noticed Qin Nan's gaze. "What is it? Are you scared? Little Brother Lin, give me your date of birth and your birthplace. I'll calculate it for you." Qin Nan calmed his thoughts and shook his head. "Well, I guess I'll pass." Even though Ji Xian was quite powerful, he did not belong to this space-time. Even the Celestial Pole leaderboard could not tell his origin, so Ji Xian would not be able to divine it either. Moreover, he was not interested in his future fate. "Little Brother Lin, don't you believe me? I'm not bragging, but many experts, even heavenly venerables, want me to divine their fortunes, but they have to depend on my mood. Moreover, I can divine all the major events that you've experienced since you were young. If it's not accurate, I'll give you 5 heavenly Tao 8 moonstones. What do you think? Ji Xian raised his eyebrows. It's not that I don't believe you, but I'm not interested in this, Qin Nan said helplessly. Little brother Lin, do you think I'm stupid? You just don't believe me. If you're willing to give me face, then let me divine it once. If you're not willing, then forget it. Ji Xian's attitude was very firm. What he couldn't tolerate the most was others questioning his divination ability. All right, you can divine it then. Qin Nan was speechless, but he still told Ji Xian everything about Lin Xiaoji's birthday. Give me a moment. Ji Xian waved his hand and sent the compass into the air. At the same time, he performed a hand seal with one hand. The power of the rules of order spread in all directions. A few moments later, he changed his hand seal and began to chant some kind of mysterious ancient curse. A strange ripple slowly spread in the surroundings. Open! Ji Xian let out a final roar as a green vertical eye opened between his eyebrows. Cultivator Lin, when you were young, your family was destroyed and your parents died in battle. Later on, you joined the Sword Melody Orthodoxy and received a great opportunity. It should be a heavenly venerable's inheritance, right? Ji Xian said proudly. Indeed. Qin Nan nodded. Now let me see your future. You'll. Ji Xian was even more smug. He was observing Qin Nan as he spoke. However, he suddenly stopped in the middle of his sentence. His 3 eyes widened. What was going on? It was completely black? What about my future? Qin Nan said with a grin. TSK, I didn't expect Cultivator Lin's future to be so extraordinary. I can't even see through it with a normal method. Ji Xian said with a surprised look. Since he had acquired the succession of divination, he had tried to divine many people's fortunes. However, it was extremely rare for him to encounter such a situation. Currently, there were only 2 people. One was his brother, Song. The other was his brother's nemesis, Zhou Di. Oh? Is that so? Qin Nan said with a smile. Chapter 2348. Art of Supremacy, Stellar Shift, Myriad Changes, Heavenly Glimpse. Ji Xian shouted loudly. The 108 bamboo sticks immediately soared into the sky and landed around the compass. They danced and spun at a shocking speed, causing the compass to hum. A faint green halo gathered in the middle of the compass and finally soared into the sky, disappearing into the clouds. Following this, a total of 108 rare phenomena appeared simultaneously. Inside each rare phenomenon was a figure with a blurry face and a mysterious aura. Their postures were completely different. They looked like the primordial people? Qin Nan probed. He had stumbled into 1 or 2 statues of the primordial people, thus he was quite familiar with them. That's right, these 100 bamboo sticks have merged with the will of the 108 primordial people, Ji Xian said while executing his art. Not long after, it was as if the 108 illusionary figures had come alive. They fired a beam of light into Ji Xian's 3rd eye, causing it to turn into a faint golden color. Qin Nan's eyes flickered with astonishment. This Ji Xian was impressive indeed. As soon as the faint golden eye appeared, he felt like he had been seen through. Brother Lin, I'll now tell you your future. You will. Just like before, Ji Xian spoke while observing with his dharma. However, just like before, he stopped abruptly when he reached this point. His 3 eyes widened at the same time. What was going on? Why was it all red? Even when he was showing it to Tsang and Zhou Di, he could only see a blurry image. Why was he unable to see Qin Nan's fate? Impossible. Ji Xian could not believe what he was seeing. He immediately performed a hand seal while uttering the word quick in his heart. However, his 3rd eye still only saw a patch of red light. This Ji Xian was utterly stunned. He had no choice but to accept the truth regardless of how unbelievable it was. Cultivator Ji, how is it? What will happen to me in the future? Qin Nan asked on purpose. He knew Ji Xian was clueless when he saw his reaction. Well, in the future. Ji Xian finally reacted. His face reddened slightly, and he stammered, "In my opinion, your violet luck has deviated, red luck has entered, the position of the 100 stars has changed from bright to dark. You will encounter a great calamity in your life. If you can overcome it, you will have extraordinary achievements. You might even become a legendary Supreme Highness." As the #1 diviner in the great upper realm, he definitely could not ruin his own reputation. Thus, he gave an ambiguous answer. In any case, anyone who defied the natural order would encounter a great tribulation. Anyone who was talented had a chance of becoming a Supreme Highness. I didn't expect that I would have a chance to become a Supreme Empyrean in the future. Thank you for reading my fortune, fellow Taoist Ji. Qin Nan brought his fists together. You're welcome, we're friends after all. Friend. Ji Xian's face blushed even redder. Qin Nan did not mention it further. He continued to fly forward. Ji Xian let out a relieved sigh. If Qin Nan asked a few more questions, he would be exposed. It would be a great humiliation for him. That being said, who exactly is this Lin Xiaoji? Ji Xian's eyes flickered curiously as he stared at Qin Nan's departing figure. If he couldn't even deduce a person's fate, then there were only two possibilities. First, the person's cultivation was significantly higher than his, and the person had some kind of law-defying artifact that was able to isolate himself from the heavenly fortune. It was obvious that Lin Xiaoji was not that kind of person. Secondly, there were simply too many variables in this person's fate. The implications were simply too great. That was why he couldn't see anything at all. I didn't think I'd stumble into someone like him. Interesting. Ji Xian's lips curled upward. He quickly yelled, "Cultivator Lin, wait for me, you're too fast." Qin Nan halted in his tracks. He immediately followed Ji Xian. Time gradually passed. 2 days later. Qin Nan and Ji Xian's figures appeared from the rift. In front of them was a pitch-black sea. The sea water was tumbling, and the demonic will was surging. It gave people a feeling that it was endless, as if it could devour everything in the world. Ji Xian was under great pressure, but Qin Nan was brimming with joy, like a godly dragon that was about to return to the ocean. "Follow me, don't do anything reckless," Qin Nan reminded. He unleashed his demonic intent and encapsulated Ji Xian's figure. They flew into the ocean and headed deeper into it. However, what the two of them did not expect was that after about 4 hours, more than 20 whizzing sounds could be heard on the surface of the sea. The newcomers were 5 young men, 3 women, 2 old men, and 19 strange-looking creatures. Demonic will surged from their bodies, and their auras were extraordinary. They had all reached the peak of the sovereign realm. "Moxie, is Senior really going to come?" A creature with 2 horns on its head, its entire body composed of endless flames, spoke, every word like thunder. "Don't worry, since Senior has already mentioned it," the young man who was leading the group called Moxie said with a gentle smile. "It's the first step to revitalize our demonic path in the primary upper realm. How could I not come?" Before he could finish, an imperious voice echoed between the heavens and earth. A young man with waist-length black hair, sharp eyebrows, wearing a black cloak and a chest full of scars stepped out from the rift. The young man had a cold expression. The blood-red sword on his back was emitting an eerie glow. Even though it was not unleashing any aura, it was still imperious enough to suppress the surroundings. "Greetings, Senior Huang Fu." Xie, the human cultivators, and the strange creatures immediately brought their fists together and bowed respectfully. "There's no need to be so courteous." The young man came to a stop. He glanced at the strange creatures and said, "Have you prepared the things I asked you to?" The creatures blurted out, "Senior Huangfu, we've already prepared them." Chapter 2349. At the same time, Qin Nan and Ji Xian had arrived at the depths of the pitch-black sea. The seawater around them turned from black to purple, and the demonic intent emitted from it multiplied. All kinds of archean demonic Tao anomalies appeared. Not only that, the sea gave birth to all kinds of enormous demonic creatures. They swam around, and their blood-red eyes glanced at Qin Nan and Ji Xian from time to time, full of awe. Ji Xian's heart was filled with amazement. He recognized the purple seawater. It contained the absolute heaven great fiendish demonic intent. Even some peak sovereigns had to use their demonic techniques to block the demonic intent and prevent it from corroding their bodies. However, Qin Nan was doing it with ease. Moreover, they didn't encounter any danger along the way. It was peaceful. To be able to do this, it could only be said that the demonic technique Qin Nan practiced was of a high level. The demonic intent and the formless killing intent didn't dare to offend them. This guy has mastered such a demonic technique. Why is he only ranked in the 300s on the Heaven Pole ranking? I wonder what kind of relationship he has with the top demonic cultivator, Huangfu Ju. Ji Xian thought to himself. Time passed by slowly. After 2 hours, Qin Nan suddenly stopped moving forward. I didn't expect the depths of the Abyss Demonic Valley to be so terrifying. The demonic intent emitted has transformed into the legendary absolute heaven great fiendish demonic intent. Ji Xian looked over and couldn't help but exclaim. Below them was an enormous mountain range. At the center of the mountain range were towering mountains that surrounded one another, forming an enormous valley. Most importantly, the seawater in the valley had turned from purple to red, and was emitting a dazzling light. The demonic aura emitted from it had reached an incomparably terrifying level, causing one's heart and soul to instinctively tremble, not daring to approach it. Little brother Lin, with the demonic Tao cultivation method you cultivate, can you last more than 4 hours in here? Ji Xian calmed down and asked. Generally speaking, peak sovereigns would be able to last an hour in there. Peak sovereigns who cultivated top-tier devil arts would be able to last for 2 hours. Qin Nan's demonic arts were so extraordinary that he should be able to last for 4 hours. If that was the case, then he could set up a trap inside and search for the demon crystal of divinity. 4 hours. Qin Nan was stunned. If it's only 3 hours, that's fine too. Ji Xian said. How could it have only been 3 hours? Ji Xian, haven't you noticed that I haven't fully activated my cultivation technique? Qin Nan was speechless. Following this, under Ji Xian's blank expression, Qin Nan fully activated the art of the immortal demon. The mysterious immortal demon realm floated in the air as countless rules of the immortal demon encapsulated their figures, resulting in a shocking suppression. In the huge mountain range, a series of shocking sounds immediately rang out. Many terrifying and tyrannical demonic life forms were impacted by this pressure. The great heaven fiendish demon intent won't affect me at all. It's quite suitable for me to cultivate. Qin Nan smiled. If he had known that the Abyss Demon Valley had such a strong demonic intent, he would not have refined the 9 Moons Heavenly Tao Stone in a hurry. He would have used the demonic intent to cultivate the second part of the art of the immortal demon instead. Let's go, don't just stand there. Qin Nan patted Ji Xian's shoulder and flew down. Little brother Lin, I have something to ask you. Go ahead. Did you create this cultivation technique yourself, or did you learn it from someone else? I can't tell you that. May I ask, are you still accepting disciples? The kind that's good at divination? I'm sorry, I don't accept male disciples. In a short while, the two of them had completely entered the valley. The entire valley covered an area of a few 100,000 miles. There were all kinds of demonic trees, flowers, and so on. There were also many skeletons on the ground. Under the influence of the great heaven fiendish demon intent, They had all turned into demonic bones. What's that? Qin Nan activated his eye of void prism and soon saw a blood-red river that was about 1,000 feet wide. The river water was rolling forward in a shocking manner. Besides, Qin Nan also saw that each drop of the river water contained a terrifying power. This is the Abyss Blood River. It has completely divided the Abyss Demon Valley into two. Any cultivator who enters the valley can only stay on one side. If they try to enter the other side, they will be killed by the river. Brother Lin, although the demonic art you cultivate is terrifying, it's better not to provoke the Abyss Blood River, Ji Xian advised. Ji Xian exhorted before taking out 10 scarecrows from his storage bag. Brother Lin, I'll have to trouble you to inject the demonic laws into their bodies. With their help, it'll be much easier for us to find the mana crystal. Qin Nan nodded. He inserted the rules of the immortal demon into the scarecrows. The 10 scarecrows immediately emitted a demonic glow as if they were alive. They began to run forward and vanished into thin air within the blink of an eye. Deluo 8 trigrams, the heavenly secrets are not hidden. Ji Xian performed a hand seal and inserted mystical glows into the compass. The compass immediately began to move, displaying huge words. Hee, let's head east. We'll surely find something, Ji Xian said with a smile. It seems like your divination is quite useful, Qin Nan said. Ji Xian could easily search for all kinds of treasures and fortunate encounters with the same trick. What do you think? Brother Lin, do you want to learn it? I'll teach you the divination art, and you'll teach me the demonic art. How does that sound? Ji Xian's eyes flickered as he blurted out. Qin Nan was left speechless. He did want to learn it, but there was no way he could teach Ji Xian the art of the immortal demon, as it would be hindered by the spacetime force. Following this, the two headed east and began to search for the treasure. Meanwhile, Huang Fuju, Moxie, and the others had passed through the water and arrived deep inside the valley. Moxie, and the rest of the creatures were instantly struck by the heaven-ferocious demonic intent contained in the purple water. They immediately executed their demonic arts to resist the force. I've almost perfected the first half of the martial art that I've invented. I'll show it to you today. Chapter 2350. With a flick of Huang Fuju's finger, the power of the rules landed on Mo Xie and the rest. Instantly, the absolute baleful devil intent that ceaselessly surged towards them dispersed in an uproar as if it was a subject that had met its king, and it utterly didn't dare approach them in the slightest. Not only that, but Mo Xie and the other living beings were also people of the demonic Tao. At this moment they also felt the terror of this demonic martial art. Their hearts and souls trembled incessantly. Congratulations, demonic ancestor, for creating such a heaven-defying demonic art. Such a shocking demonic intent, this demonic art can be considered the top demonic art in the world. Demonic ancestor is indeed the top demonic cultivator. Even the absolute great ferocious demon intent doesn't dare to offend him. Only the demonic ancestor can do that. Everyone was completely convinced, and many of the creatures who were not too familiar with Huang Fuji quickly offered words of praise and flattery. That's right, this demonic art is indeed the top demonic art in the world. No other demonic art can compare to it. Huang Fuju nodded and admitted without any humility. Everyone could feel his incomparable dominance, confidence, and pride from his words. Although I've only completed the first half of this demonic art, there's more to it. Follow me into the valley, and you'll be able to see it, Huang Fuju said as he flew downward. Around an hour later, Huang Fuju led a huge group of people into the valley. Coincidentally, they ended up on the right side of the valley, which was the opposite of Qin Nan and the young man. The will of the superior demon, the king of the demons. All demons will submit to it, Huang Fuju yelled. The illusionary figure of the superior demon realm behind him seemed to have awakened from ancient times. It unleashed an even more shocking will of the superior demon, which enveloped them all. What? Even the absolute great ferocious demon intent doesn't dare to offend him. Emosia and the others, as well as many other living beings, were extremely shocked. They could not believe their own eyes. They did not expect the first half of the demonic art to be so powerful. If Huang Fuju could create the second half of the demonic art, how powerful would it be? When Huang Fuju saw their expressions, he was very satisfied. However, his expression didn't show the slightest bit of emotion. He was still very indifferent as he indifferently said, "All right, don't just stand there. Quickly find the item so that I can start to perfect the second part of this cultivation technique." Emosia and the other living beings immediately reacted. The latter took out palm-sized pitch-black crystals and distributed them to each person, before scattering in all directions. Time trickled by. Qin Nan and Huang Fuju were searching, so were Huang Fuju and the others. Neither Qin Nan nor Huang Fuju had expected that his previous life and Huang Fuju's reincarnation would be so close to each other. They were only separated by the exterminating blood river. Around 12 hours later, one of the ancient living beings among Huang Fuju's group made a discovery. He transmitted his divine sense to Huang Fuju and the others, who immediately headed toward the source of the discovery. Is this the demonic divination phoenix? After a while, Huang Fuju stopped and looked at the scene in front of him. Even with his current wisdom, a trace of excitement could not help but flash in his eyes. 100 zhang in front of him were 5 enormous ancient demonic trees with dense foliage. Through the gaps between the leaves, he could faintly see a pond behind them. The pond was not huge. It only covered an area with a circumference of over 30 zhang, but the water inside it was faintly golden. On top of that, there were faint red auras that resembled phoenixes swimming deep inside the pond. There were 33 of them in total. They were the demonic divination phoenix. It was formed from countless demon crystals of great development that had undergone all sorts of transformations between heaven and earth. Every single one of them contained an incomparably majestic and pure demon will. In addition to that, it had another shocking effect. It was able to allow any demonic cultivator to enter the state of comprehending the martial art, allowing their understanding of the demonic arts to reach an unbelievable level within a short period of time. This was undoubtedly very important to the current Huang Fuju. This was because only Huang Fuju knew how difficult it was for him to create this immortal true demon mantra. Even though he acted like he was undefeatable in front of everyone, as if he had everything under control, only he knew that he had no idea how to create the second half of the martial art. The so-called art of the immortal demon and the word immortal were only his imagination. To be honest, the martial art that he had created could only be considered as the art of the immortal demon. Huang Fuju knew that it was impossible for him to create the second half of the demonic divination phoenix with just the 33 of them. However, he only needed a clue, a thought. As long as he had a clue, he would know which direction he should take in the future. "Guard the surroundings for me," Huang Fuju said calmly. Huang Fuju suppressed the emotions in his heart as he spoke indifferently, and then his figure flashed and arrived above the pool before he sat down cross-legged. Emosia and the others were on standby. However, the living beings would occasionally glance at Huang Fuju while guarding him. They knew that Huang Fuju was not only relying on the second half of the martial art that he had created to achieve such an outstanding level on the Heaven Pole ranking. As such, they were curious to see what else Huang Fuju had learned. Huang Fuju was aware of their thoughts. He grinned as he knew what they were thinking. Forget it, there were quite a number of demonic cultivators in the Heaven Highness battlefield. He would take the opportunity to subdue them so that he could use them in the future. Art of the immortal demon. Art of the pure heaven demon. Demonic scriptures of the 10,000 Tao. Flesh of the great heaven demon. Huang Fuju yelled. The 2.5 demonic martial arts in his body were activated. At the same time, his body began to emit dazzling demonic light. A few powerful demonic intents soared into the sky, led by the immortal demon, with the rest as support. At that instant, Huang Fuju's terrifying strength was fully displayed. While he was refining the demonic Dian Phoenix in the pond, his figure was like an abyss, absorbing the surrounding heavenly ferocious demon intent into his body. Whoosh! Chapter 23:51. How is this possible? How did he absorb such a huge amount of the heaven-reaching great fiendish demon intent? The living beings were astounded once again. They could not believe it. They did not have a clear idea of the pure heaven-demon art, the 10,000 demonic Tao scriptures, or the great heaven-demon flesh that Huang Fuju had invented. They only knew that if they were in Huang Fuju's shoes, it would be extremely difficult for them to stay in the demonic valley for 2 hours, let alone absorb the heaven-reaching great fiendish demon intent. There's hope for the demonic path to be revitalized. Soon, they became excited. They were initially doubtful when Huang Fuju said that he was going to revitalize the demonic path in the primary upper realm and make it one of the top great Dao. Even though Huang Fuju was already ranked in the 30s on the Heaven Extreme ranking. But now, the doubts in their hearts had completely vanished. Once Huang Fuju achieved the Heaven Highness realm, it would be unimaginable. Meanwhile, on the other side of the demonic valley, I found something. Ji Xian, who had been searching, suddenly became joyful as he sensed something. Let's hurry. Before Qin Nan could finish, he suddenly sensed a familiar demonic ripple coming from the rift in the distance. Brother Lin, it seems like other demonic cultivators have come to the other side of the valley. It has nothing to do with us, let's head over first. Ji Xian said after noticing it too. Qin Nan nodded. He was not too bothered by it. The two of them turned into streaks of light and flew forward rapidly. Not long after, the two arrived at the bottom of a cliff. Looking up, there was a cave entrance with a circumference of 100 zhang above them. Gusts of wind would rush out from the cave from time to time, as if some kind of giant beast was breathing inside. Ji Xian raised his eyebrows. He sharply sensed that there were more than 10 demonic creatures with terrifying auras lurking in the cave, which immediately sent a chill down his spine. If it were in the past, he would never enter the cave even if he was given 10 guts, but now. Qin Nan flew into the cave with a flicker. He followed Ji Xian without hesitation. Just as the two entered the cave, before they were even 100 feet in, everything before them suddenly opened up. The cave, which was several hundred feet wide, instantly expanded by more than 100 times. Aside from the red light filling the sky, there were also other demonic Tao ores giving off strands of light. Qin Nan flew forward without slowing down. A few moments later, he heard a series of explosions and cries of agony. The demonic creatures began to back away in fear as if they had just stumbled into a disaster. It's there. A while later, Ji Xian pointed. The scarecrow that Zhang Xian had released earlier was circling around a stone platform with a circumference of 300 zhang, as if it was dancing. There are still quite a lot of demonic crystals of heavenly development here. Qin Nan went closer and discovered that the surface of the stone platform was crystalline. He could clearly see 10 pitch-black, glowing crystals the size of a palm lying deep inside the platform. Even though they were separated by the stone platform, they could feel that every crystal contained a huge amount of pure demon will. Qin Nan did not hesitate. He flicked his finger and executed the rules of a mortal demon to shatter the stone platform into pieces. Bang! However, a shocking scene appeared. Not only did the stone platform not shake in the slightest, but the stone layer on the surface of the platform also began to fall, emitting an incomparably shocking demonic will. Woo! The demonic creatures that had backed away uttered a few cries. It seemed like they were reluctant to part with the stone platform, but there was nothing they could do about it. Let me have a try. Ji Xian took out an immortal sword and performed a hand seal before slashing forward. However, the outcome was the same as before. Little brother Lin, it looks like this stone platform is also a demonic Dao treasure. Furthermore, it's extremely hard. If we want to obtain the demonic crystal monumental derivation inside, we'll have to ask you to refine it. Ji Xian said. All right then. Step aside for now. Qin Nan nodded. With a flicker, he sat on the platform with his legs crossed. The rules of Immortal Demon unleashed from his body turned into wisps of pitch-black flames that encapsulated the stone platform and burned it. Art of the Immortal Demon. Qin Nan groaned in his heart as he immediately unleashed the full potential of the demonic art. Rumble! In an instant, the entire cave began to tremble violently under the impact of the pressure. The demonic creatures began to howl even more intensely. In addition to that, an even more shocking sight took place. Outside the cave, the heavenly great ferocious demon intent within a few 10,000 li became restless. The heavenly great ferocious demon intent even turned into dragons that charged at Qin Nan and entered his body. Oh my God! Ji Xian smacked his lips. Qin Nan was the only person in the entire primary upper realm who was able to transform into dragons after absorbing the heavenly great ferocious demon intent. However, what Qin Nan and Ji Xian did not expect was, on the other side of the demonic valley, Huang Fuju, who was in the midst of cultivating and absorbing, frowned slightly as he felt a fluctuation. In addition to him, Moxie and the others who were chatting among themselves were aware of it too. I can still sense the ripple from such a far distance away. Could it be that some demonic artifact has appeared on the other side of the demonic valley? Moxie and the others were startled. Demon progenitor, I'll bring a few people over to take a look. Moxie immediately made up his mind and transmitted his voice to Huang Fuju. He then brought two of his subordinates and two powerful creatures and flew toward the underworld blood river. The ripple is so powerful. If that's the case, then the supreme treasure of the Devil Dao that appeared must be extraordinary. The further Moxie and the others went, the clearer they felt the ripple. They were even more excited. The immortal demon ancestor is indeed a man of destiny. I don't know how long it has been since such an amazing treasure appeared in the deep serene Devil Valley. I didn't expect the immortal demon ancestor to appear so soon after he arrived. The same thought crossed the minds of Moxie and the others. Chapter 23:52. Half the period it took an incense stick to burn. The cultivators and living creatures guarding the pond saw Moxie and his crew flying toward them from the distance. What is it? Did some terrifying demonic artifact appear? They instantly saw that the astonishment in the eyes of Mo Xie and the others had yet to dissipate, and immediately asked. It must be something extraordinary if it was able to astonish them so much. Moxie took a deep breath and ignored them. He went straight to the pond and glanced at Huang Fuju, who was cultivating. He transmitted his voice without hesitation. Senior Demon Progenitor, please stop absorbing for now. I have something important to report to you. Whoosh! Huang Fuju's closed eyes immediately sprang open with an icy look. The hearts of the crowd shuddered as they sensed a great pressure. Moxie, you've been with me for more than 30 years. Don't you know the rules? Huang Fuju said coldly. His rule was that no one was allowed to disturb him when he was cultivating in seclusion unless it was a matter of life and death. I'm sorry, Senior Demon Progenitor, but on the other side of the Demon Valley, Moxie blurted out. That's enough. No matter how powerful the artifact is, it has to wait until I'm done with my cultivation. Huang Fuju waved his hand and interrupted him before he could finish. Senior Demon Progenitor, you've misunderstood. The huge ripple isn't caused by some artifact. It's caused by someone cultivating. Mo Xie quickly finished his words in one breath. It's caused by someone cultivating? The rest of the cultivators and living beings were startled. There were still demonic cultivators in the primary upper realm who were able to cultivate with the heaven extreme ferocious demon intent? Moxie, you're a peak ruler realm cultivator, yet you can't even tell what's causing the ripple? It must be caused by someone cultivating. Huang Fuju's eyes flickered with disappointment. He had always been satisfied with Moxie. He had been focusing on training him. However, Moxie's performance today was indeed too bad. In the current great upper realms, there were only a handful of demonic path Empyreans. As for the other demonic path influences, they weren't too large, and they didn't have much of a background or accumulation. If he hadn't created the art of the immortal demon, he wouldn't have been able to absorb the extreme celestial baleful demon will into his body. How could other demonic cultivators do it? Lord Devil Ancestor, this subordinate has repeatedly confirmed that it is indeed caused by human cultivation. This subordinate hopes that you can go and take a look. If this subordinate's judgment is wrong, this subordinate is willing to accept any punishment. Emosia quickly knelt down on one knee and cupped his fists. Lord Devil Ancestor, this is indeed caused by human cultivation. The cultivators and living beings that followed Emosia also hurriedly said, "All right. You guys stay here and watch. Come with me." The disappointment in Huang Fuju's heart grew even greater. He said expressionlessly and flew straight ahead. Emosia and the others exchanged glances and quickly followed him. This fluctuation is indeed a little shocking. Huang Fuju flew for a while, and a strange look flashed across his eyes. However, he was even more certain that it was not caused by human cultivation. This is. When he arrived at the side of the hell-ending blood river, and saw the boiling great heaven great baleful devil will, and the great heaven great baleful devil will that had condensed into long dragons that were flying even further ahead, his pupils instantly constricted. Even with his current intelligence, he still could not believe what he was seeing. The demon will had turned into dragons and gathered at the same place continuously. It was obviously caused by someone cultivating. The birth of any artifact would not cause such a huge commotion. However, the rare phenomenon was a few times more terrifying than the commotion he had caused. Since when did such a terrifying demonic cultivator appear in the primary upper realm? Could it be those heaven highnesses? That didn't seem right. He had come into contact with those several demonic path Empyreans some time ago and had even fought with them several times. However, the heaven highnesses of the demonic cultivators were even weaker than him. They were completely subdued by him. Could it be that the primary upper realm has always been hiding a terrifying authority of the demonic cultivators? The thought crossed Huang Fuju's mind. He took a deep breath. The astonishment in his eyes turned into excitement. Even though he had always thought of himself as the strongest cultivator of the demonic cultivators after achieving the ruler realm, he did not want to be the strongest cultivator of the demonic cultivators. At least, he did not want to be the strongest cultivator when he achieved the ruler realm. On the other hand, it implied that the demonic cultivators were on the decline. Now, a senior with such attainments in the demonic path had appeared. As long as he could obtain the support of this senior, then he would be able to revive the demonic path, become an Empyrean, and so on. All of these paths would become much easier and the pressure on him wouldn't be so great. He could even ask the senior for help. Perhaps he would be able to benefit greatly from the senior's guidance. Moxie, I've wronged you this time. You've done well. Huang Fuju took a light breath, calmed his mind slightly, and spoke. Thank you for the compliment. Moxie collected his thoughts and probed, Senior, the fact that this senior is able to absorb the heavenly fiendish demon intent and trigger such a rare phenomenon is enough to prove that the senior's attainments in the demonic cultivators are extraordinarily terrifying. Should we? Huang Fuju immediately looked at the crowd and said, The demonic cultivators are on the decline. Since there's such a senior here, we should contact the senior at once and try to get his support. Hurry up and think of a way to spread the news across the underworld blood river. Emosia and the rest of the living beings quickly exchanged glances with one another as they began to speak. All of them were rather excited. In fact, their thoughts and feelings in certain aspects were not much different from Huang Fuju's. Alright, let's try the demon spirits first. A few moments later, Huang Fuju made up his mind. A cultivator who was extremely knowledgeable about the demon spirits quickly performed a series of hand seals, summoning 29 illusionary figures over a zhang tall. Not only were the demon spirits useful for killing enemies and escaping, they could also communicate with one another through the demon spirit. Rules of the Immortal Demon. Chapter 23:53. The 29 demon spirits immediately flew toward the underworld blood river under the control of the cultivator as if they had come alive. Huang Fuju, Emosia, and the others were feeling uneasy seeing this. They knew very well how terrifying the netherworld blood river was. If this method didn't succeed, then it would be very difficult for the other methods to succeed. As such, they had no choice but to send someone to the other half of the demonic valley. However, it would take a lot of time. If they were unlucky, the senior might have already left. As soon as the demon spirits stepped onto the underworld blood river, countless water droplets immediately soared into the sky. Each droplet contained a formidable force. Bang, bang, bang! A series of explosions took place. The demon spirits began to tremble vigorously. Change! The cultivator groaned. The demon spirits stacked on top of one another and used the one at the bottom to block the water droplets while the demon spirits above continued to move forward. Under the attack of the water droplets that filled the sky, the demonic spirits shattered one after another and returned to nothingness. Only a little left. Huang Fuju, Emosia, and the others gathered their focus and held their breath. Whoosh! The last demon spirit burst forth with astonishing speed. In a single breath, it traversed several dozen feet and arrived on the other side of the netherworld blood river. Huang Fuju heaved a sigh of relief in his heart when he saw this scene. Emosia, the others, and the other living beings were even happier. It all depends on the senior's attitude now. Huang Fuju thought to himself. He asked the cultivator to control the demon spirit and follow the direction of the great fiendish demon will dragons. Emosia and the others were even more nervous. They did not even dare to breathe loudly. Meanwhile, in the cave Ji Xian was extremely bored. He took out some bamboo sticks and began to calculate his fortune. Something from the demonic path dares to come closer? Ji Xian suddenly sensed something. He appeared at the entrance of the cave with a flicker. Demon spirits? Ji Xian was startled when he saw the demon spirit. From the cultivators in the other half of the valley? Ji Xian quickly remembered. He immediately reached out and grabbed the demonic spirit. As his divine sense entered the demonic spirit, he heard a voice in his mind. Junior was training here and was accidentally disturbed by the phenomenon of Senior's cultivation. I hope Senior can give Junior a chance to have a brief chat with Junior. Ji Xian instantly understood what was going on. Obviously, the demonic cultivators in the opposite mountain valley had seen the phenomenon created by Qin Nan and thought that Qin Nan was a peerless demonic cultivator. Therefore, they wanted to use this opportunity to build a good relationship with Qin Nan. Little brother Lin, that demonic cultivator says he wants to meet you. Ji Xian shouted into the cave. Reject it for me. Qin Nan said indifferently. All right. Ji Xian responded and transmitted his voice to the devil spirit. Kid, you have to be down to earth and cultivate properly. Don't do these nonsensical things. Also, kid, next time you want to make friends with someone, introduce yourself first. This is etiquette. After transmitting his voice, Ji Xian muttered in a low voice, young people nowadays really don't know the rules. As he spoke, he walked into the cave. At this time, on the other side of the Devil's Valley, Huang Fuju, who had imprinted his divine sense in the devil spirit, felt the fluctuation in it. He was immediately refreshed and Ji Xian's words rang in his mind. Huang Fuju's expression changed slightly and he quickly transmitted his divine sense. Senior, I'm really sorry. I was too excited just now and neglected this. My surname is Huang Fu and my name is Ju. This time, I'm not looking for Senior because I want to establish a connection with Senior, but because I want to work with Senior to establish a new demonic sect. After saying this, Huang Fuju was a little annoyed. He didn't expect that he had completely neglected the most basic etiquette just now. It seemed that he had been calling himself the #1 demonic cultivator for so long that his mentality had changed. Amos Ye and the other living beings didn't dare to breathe loudly when they saw his expression. They were afraid that they would offend Huang Fuju. On the other side, Ji Xian felt the fluctuation in the devil spirit again. If it was in the past, he wouldn't even bother with it. However, he was really bored now, so he casually scanned it with his divine sense. F***CK. His eyes immediately widened. Huang Fuju? Did he just teach Huang Fuju, who was on the same level as his brother, a lesson? F***CK. Luckily I'm separated by the devil spirit. Otherwise, I would be scared to death today. Ji Xian's forehead was covered in cold sweat. If Huang Fuju knew that he was the one who had transmitted his divine sense, with Huang Fuju's personality, he would probably chase after him until he was dead. However, I really didn't expect the great Huang Fuju to address little brother Lin as a junior and speak so respectfully. He even wants to establish a new demonic sect together. If Huang Fuju knew that little brother Lin's cultivation is only at the early stage of the ruler realm, will Huang Fuju be affected? Ji Xian thought to himself. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration and couldn't help but laugh. Now that Huang Fuju was separated by the devil spirit and the Ju Ming blood river, he thought that he was Lin Xiaoji. So you're Huang Fuju. I've seen you on the heaven rank. You're not bad. You're only at the peak of the ruler realm, but you can do this. How about this? You can first cup your fists 3 times towards the void to show your respect. Ji Xian transmitted his divine sense like an old man. Thank you, Senior. I've already bowed across the void. May this junior be so bold as to ask for Senior's name? In less than 3 breaths, Huang Fuju replied with his divine sense. He sounded like he was in a good mood and was a little excited. Wahahaha. Ji Xian couldn't help but laugh at the sky. He was delighted. Even his brother couldn't make the great Huang Fuju bow 3 times to him. It was worth bragging about for the rest of his life. However, although Ji Xian still had many thoughts in his mind to mess with Huang Fuju, he was a coward. In order to prevent Huang Fuju from noticing that something was wrong, he suppressed his thoughts. Little brother Lin, the person opposite is Huang Fuju. Do you want to talk to him? Ji Xian shouted towards the cave. Whoosh! Qin Nan's figure instantly appeared at the entrance of the cave. You're saying that's Huang Fuju? He sent him here? Qin Nan asked. Huang Fuju is treating you as a senior now. He's extremely respectful towards you. He's asking for your name. Should you tell him? Ji Xian asked. Qin Nan's expression became strange. He did not expect the demonic cultivators in the valley to be Huang Fuju. No wonder he felt that the demonic energy was a little familiar. It must be Huang Fuju executing the art of the immortal demon. Chapter 23:54. I don't have a name, nor do I have a title. Qin Nan calmed his thoughts and transmitted his voice through the demon spirit. You can talk to Huang Fuju? Qin Nan was slightly surprised. He initially thought that if he were to stumble into Huang Fuju, Zhou Di, Song, and Yi Zhaoxian, he would not be able to say a single word. After all, a single sentence from him might change the course of history, resulting in a tremendous impact on the future. However, it seemed like a normal conversation would not be a problem. Huang Fuju simply assumed that Qin Nan was trying to keep his identity a secret. He immediately transmitted his voice. Senior, the martial path is flourishing now, while the demonic path is still in decline. I would like to turn the situation around and revive the demon path. I hope Senior can show us what you're capable of. Qin Nan was not surprised. After Huang Fuju achieved the Heaven Highness realm, he began to plan for the immortals. He even teamed up with the authorities of the demon path to occupy a small immortal realm and established a formidable faction of the demon path to revive the demon path. Many people thought Huang Fuju was selfish and only cared about himself, but the truth was, Huang Fuju was very broad-minded. He had done many things for the sake of the demon path instead of his own selfish desires. I'm sorry, Cultivator Huangfu, but that's not what I want. Qin Nan declined politely with a strange look. It felt strange to talk to one of his past lives. On the other side, Huang Fuju's face sank. Moxie and the others immediately had a bad feeling. They did not dare to make a sound. However, Huang Fuju's wisdom was extraordinary. He collected his thoughts in less than a breath and said, Senior, if that's the case, I won't say anything further. However, I do have a favor to ask of you. Senior is so knowledgeable about the demon path. I can't catch up to you. I've come up with a martial art called the Art of the Immortal Demon, but I've only completed the first half. I have no idea how to complete the second half. Senior, can you give me a few pointers? Qin Nan immediately coughed upon hearing this. What's going on? Did Huang Fuju make a strange request to you? Ji Xian looked at him curiously. It's nothing. Qin Nan waved his hand. He didn't know how to describe the strange feeling in his heart. Asking for advice from his past life? He was a sovereign. How could he give pointers to a generation of supreme Empyreans? Not to mention that the true immortal demon formula he was currently cultivating was created by Huang Fuju himself. However, thinking about it carefully, the current Huang Fuju was indeed in a rather painful period. Not only him, Song, Zhou Di, and Yi Zhaoxian were the same. These four supreme celestials had created their own extraordinary Daos before reaching the Sovereign Lord realm. After reaching the Sovereign Lord realm, they soared into the sky. However, the four of them were still not satisfied with the current situation. They wanted to be even more heaven-defying. Thus, the four of them could only fumble around step by step. From the time they had become rulers until they were ranked first on the Heavenly Pole ranking, they had used the mysteries of the Heavenly Pole ranking to perfect themselves. The entire process had been extremely painful and arduous. Qin Nan shook his head. He would like to give Huang Fuju some pointers and experience the feeling of teaching a supreme celestial highness, but there was no way the space-time force would allow him to do so. Qin Nan initially wanted to say that he wasn't interested and that they would meet again if fate allowed. However, for some reason, he had the urge to give it a try. He transmitted his voice. Tell me, what kind of bottleneck did you encounter? Following this, Qin Nan's eyes flickered with astonishment. Even the third-level space-time force didn't trigger the barrier? On the other hand, Huang Fuju was overjoyed. He pondered for 2 breaths to organize his thoughts before he said, Senior, even though my martial art is called the Art of the Immortal Demon, it has nothing to do with the immortal realm. However, to be honest with you, Senior, I've heard that Zhoudi's impenetrable sacred flesh can become the legendary flesh of eternity. Can live as long as the heavens and become immortal. Therefore, I want to achieve immortality too. However, I have no idea what I should do now. I don't even have the slightest clue. Qin Nan finally realized that Huang Fuju's true immortal demon formula was influenced by Zhou Di. Qin Nan recalled the strange phenomenon. He asked probingly, Can you execute the true immortal demon formula? I'll try to see what's so special about it. After saying this, Qin Nan's eyes were filled with astonishment. It didn't trigger any resistance from the space-time force? Could it be that Huang Fu-ju was able to come up with the real true immortal demon formula because I gave him some pointers today? And passed it down to me after he reincarnated into my body? The thought crossed Qin Nan's mind. He was startled. Although this seemed very inconceivable and confusing, it would be too exciting if this was really the case. Senior, I've executed it. Can you sense it through the netherworld blood river? Huang Fu-ju became excited too. He quickly executed his true immortal demon formula. Of course, even though you can only sense a blur with your divine sense, I can sense it very clearly. Qin Nan transmitted his voice. Senior is indeed impressive. I'm deeply impressed. Qin Nan burst out laughing when he heard the words. The feeling of bragging in front of the supreme celestial venerate of his past life was not an ordinary kind of pleasure. Brother Lin, what are you talking about? Why are you so happy? Ji Xian was extremely curious. He quickly leaned closer. Nothing, Huang Fu-ju's attainments in the demonic Tao are quite terrifying. I'm just giving him some pointers. By the way, you mustn't tell anyone else about it. Qin Nan reminded him. Brother Lin, don't you worry. Who do you think I am? I won't tell anyone even if I'm beaten to death. Ji Xian patted his chest. Phew, let's see if I can teach Huang Fu-ju something. Qin Nan gathered his thoughts. He pondered for a moment before asking in a probing manner, Let me ask you, why did you cultivate an independent world of the demonic Tao behind your back? He transmitted his divine sense without any resistance. Chapter 23:55. So that's what Huang Fu-ju was planning when he created the upper demon realm. Qin Nan murmured in his heart. He quickly transmitted his voice. Do you know why the indestructible flesh of eternity is able to live as long as the heavens and earth? Huang Fu-ju was startled. He said, Senior, I'm not too sure about that. I've only heard that the indestructible flesh of eternity is able to reach such a level. Zhou Di only has the impenetrable sacred flesh, so. Qin Nan took a deep breath and organized his thoughts. He was going to teach Huang Fu-ju. In fact, the previous few conversations between the two of them did not involve anything related to the future at all. It was reasonable that it did not cause any hindrance from the spacetime force. However, what he was going to say next was going to involve the future. Cultivator Huang Fu, in my opinion, there's no such thing as absolute eternity, nor is there such a thing as absolute immortality. It all depends on how you interpret it. Of course, I haven't reached that level yet, so it's just my opinion. You must know that everything in the primary upper realm, from the legendary undying cycle mountain to the smallest flowers and grass, is formed by the power of the rules of cultivation. If it's possible to surpass the power of the rules of cultivation in the primary upper realm, what do you think it should be? Qin Nan had assumed the role of a senior. His tone turned old and experienced. After saying the last word, Qin Nan's heart shuddered. He had really said it. It did not cause any hindrance from the spacetime force. On the other hand, Huang Fu-ju's heart shuddered when he heard the words. It felt like a bolt of lightning had flashed across his pitch-black divine sense, illuminating his surroundings. This was especially so when it came to the power of laws that surpassed the primary upper realm. These few words made him feel as if everything in the world had become clear. Most of the chaos had become clear. It was a direction to move forward. Senior, what do you think I should do in my current situation? Huang Fu-ju suppressed the excitement in his heart and hurriedly asked through divine thought. If I were you. At this point, Qin Nan's heartbeat began to accelerate slightly. There was also a trace of inexplicable excitement. He said, I probably wouldn't continue to work on my physical body. After all, you don't have the invulnerable saintly body. I will take a different path and choose to focus on the power of the mind and the soul, allowing them to surpass the power of laws of the primary upper realm. Shackles. I don't think it's realistic for my mind and soul to reach that level. However, we can open up a new path. For example, didn't you create a small world? Why don't you infuse your mind and spiritual strength into the small world first, then continue to strengthen the small world until it surpasses the power of the laws of the major upper realm? If that's the case, there is a certain possibility. From beginning to end, every word Qin Nan said did not cause any obstruction from the power of spacetime. Ah! Qin Nan couldn't help but laugh. He did not expect such a magical cycle of karma to exist between him and Huang Fuju. Who knew how much of an impact his words would have on Huang Fuju? Brother Lin, what are you two talking about? Ji Xian came closer with a sorrowful look. Why didn't he share such a joyous occasion with him? Nothing, nothing. Qin Nan waved his hand. Meanwhile, on the other side, Huang Fuju could only feel that every word Qin Nan said was filled with the truth of the heavens and earth, resulting in a huge splash in his mind. Mind, soul, first merge with the world. Let the world surpass the power of the primary upper realm. Huang Fuju completely lost his thoughts as he mumbled to himself. Countless thoughts popped up in his mind like bamboo shoots after a rain. The problem that had troubled him for countless days and nights suddenly became clear. That's right. That's right. That's it. Huang Fuju finally collected his thoughts after a few moments. He was extremely excited, as if he could not wait to let out a roar into the sky. Senior Demon Progenitor, what are you? Moxie and the rest of the crowd were extremely curious when they saw Huang Fuju's expression changing continuously in just a few hundred breaths. Seeing Huang Fuju's reaction, they could not help but ask as something good must have happened. Ha ha, that senior is giving me some guidance. Huang Fuju burst out laughing. There was a hint of pride in his excitement. This senior's attainment in the demonic path is indeed extraordinary. I've learned a lot from just a few words, and I've come up with a new way of thinking. Emosia and the rest of the crowd were greatly envious after hearing this. If only they could receive some guidance from that senior too. Congratulations, Senior Demon Progenitor. Moxie and the rest of the crowd did not dare to express their feelings. They brought their fists together and bowed. Don't be too disappointed. Once I've fully mastered the martial art, you will surely be rewarded. By the way, don't disturb me. I'm going to discuss the demonic arts with Senior. Huang Fuju waved his hand and immediately transmitted his voice. Thank you, Senior. Senior's words are no different from the voice of the great Tao, allowing me to be enlightened in an instant. As expected of the strongest cultivator of the demonic arts, I'm utterly impressed. Qin Nan almost vomited after hearing the words. Strongest cultivator of the demonic arts? Prostrating himself in admiration? He did not expect Huang Fuju, who everyone thought was imperious and unmatched in the world, to be so good at flattering others. There's no need for that. It's fate that we've met by chance. I saw that your talent in the demonic Tao is extremely heaven-defying, so I gave you some pointers. Don't let me down when the time comes. Qin Nan straightened his face and lectured in a serious tone. Senior, don't you worry. I'll remember what you've taught me today. I won't embarrass you in the future. Huang Fuju replied respectfully once again. Not bad, not bad. Do you have any other questions you want to ask me? Qin Nan nodded in satisfaction and asked. Chapter 2356. Senior, there's something I haven't figured out yet. Senior, since you're so skilled in the demonic path, what do you think is the highest level of the demonic path? Huang Fuju immediately transmitted his voice. Qin Nan almost burst out laughing. This Huang Fuju was quite cunning. Even though it did not seem like it was related to the martial art that Huang Fuju had invented on his own, the truth was, it was extremely important. If Huang Fu-ju knew the so-called highest level, he would be able to think more when he was inventing the art of the immortal demon, allowing him to improve the art of the immortal demon to a shocking level. Perhaps that's the reason why Huang Fu-ju had the thought of becoming the origin of the demonic path? Qin Nan murmured as he figured out the reason behind it. Do you know what the origin force is? Qin Nan was about to ask the question, but as soon as he said it, a formidable force of time and space descended upon him, preventing him from saying a single word. Why can't I tell him about the origin of the demonic path? Qin Nan raised his brows. He pondered for a moment before arranging his words. As a matter of fact, both the demonic path and the other paths only have higher levels. There's no such thing as the highest level. In my opinion, the path of the demonic path might be able to destroy your flesh, mind, and soul, yet you're still everywhere. As long as the demonic flame is not extinguished, you can be born from it. The stronger the demonic flame is, the stronger you will be. Huang Fu-ju's eyes flickered with astonishment upon hearing this. The path of the demonic path could reach such a level? What kind of level would it be? Senior, your attainments in the demonic path can no longer be described as terrifying. Huang Fu-ju took a deep breath. Senior, may I ask, what should I do to reach such a level? Huang Fu-ju asked cautiously. He began to feel nervous too. If this mysterious senior was willing to give him pointers on this problem, and tell him a train of thought, then Qin Nan's lips curled upward. Oh, Huang Fu-ju. I wanted to tell you, but the power of space-time wouldn't let me. Huang Fu-ju, my current cultivation is still too far away from yours. Telling you this will only bring you harm. It won't do you any good. If you want to know, you can only rely on yourself to comprehend. Qin Nan said righteously. Senior is right. Disappointment flashed in Huang Fu-ju's eyes. But when he thought about it carefully, it did make sense. If he didn't suffer and experience all sorts of hardships, then how could he defy the heavens in the future? Senior, can this junior ask for your help? I have a friend named Emosia who is also extremely talented in the demonic Tao. If I want to revitalize the demonic Tao, I'm afraid it won't be enough to do so by myself. Can Senior give him some pointers? Huang Fu-ju probed. Give Emosia pointers? Qin Nan suddenly coughed. I'm really sorry, Huang Fu-ju. As a senior, I can't give anyone pointers except for you. Huang Fu-ju, I have long stopped caring about worldly affairs. Today we are fated, so I will give you some pointers. Emosia is not fated with me, so there's no need for that. Besides, I've already answered your question. Let's end the conversation here. Qin Nan had already immersed himself in the identity of a senior. He spoke with the demeanor of an expert without any hesitation. On the other side, Huang Fu-ju was slightly annoyed. Why did he mention this all of a sudden? He still had a lot of questions to ask. Senior, please wait. Senior's words today have allowed me to gain a lot. This junior will never forget this kind of friendship. I hope Senior can tell me your name. One day, Junior will definitely repay Senior tenfold. Huang Fu-ju immediately transmitted his voice. The words came from the bottom of his heart. He was the kind of person who would respect others tenfold if they respected him. If someone hurt him once, he would return the favor tenfold. There's no need for that. Take care of yourself. Qin Nan smiled and flicked his finger, scattering the demon spirit. He did not dare to tell Huang Fu-ju his identity. If Huang Fu-ju found out that his cultivation was only in the early stage of the ruler realm, and that the martial arts they practiced were the same, then it was quite interesting. Unfortunately, the power of time and space would surely hinder him. Brother Lin, aren't you being a little too disloyal? You've been having fun here for so long. Why didn't you tell me? Ji Xian was like a resentful wife. Alright, that's enough. Let's go and get the Taiyin demonic crystal. Qin Nan patted him on the shoulder and entered the cave with a flicker. Meanwhile, on the other side, the conversation has ended. Huang Fu-ju was a little disappointed when he saw the light inside the demon's spirit dimming. However, it's enough for me to meet you in the deep magic valley. Huang Fu-ju took a deep breath and quickly adjusted his thoughts. Senior demon ancestor, how did the conversation go? Emo Xie and the other living beings could not help but ask upon seeing this. Senior is no longer interested in worldly affairs. I hope we won't disturb him. I'm very lucky to be able to receive his guidance. Huang Fu-ju exclaimed. Indeed. Emo Xie, and many other living beings felt the same way. Wait, Senior, we've overlooked something. Emo Xie's heart skipped a beat as he recalled something. What is it? Huang Fu-ju asked. Emo Xie was the reason why the conversation ended prematurely. We are currently in the Heaven Highness battlefield in the upper mystic realm. If the senior is able to come here, doesn't that mean his cultivation is only? Emo Xie blurted out in astonishment. When the others heard this, they were also greatly shocked. Emo Xie, you should calm down. Don't judge everything with what you know. Huang Fu-ju waved his hand and said, only cultivators below the Heaven Highness realm and above in the Master realm are allowed to enter the Heaven Highness battlefield. However, is the rule unbreakable? Senior's mastery of demon arts has reached such a level. He's at least a peak Heaven Highness, or even. Huang Fu-ju took a deep breath with a yearning look. Indeed. Emo Xie and the others had a second thought. They might not be able to do it, but it did not necessarily mean the senior could not do it. Chapter 2357. A few hours later, Qin Nan thoroughly refined the mysterious demonic artifact, allowing his cultivation to improve significantly. He had successfully acquired a few heavenly development demonic crystals. Qin Nan and Ji Xian immediately flew out of the demonic valley and headed straight for the mystical martial gate. Time gradually passed. Around 5 hours later, Qin Nan and Ji Xian's figures flew out from the rift. In front of them, the ground turned black. All sorts of shocking martial wills filled every inch of the void. At the end of the path, a majestic door stood there quietly, unmoving for all eternity. This door was light gold in color, and on the door frame, there were 4 large words written in flamboyant calligraphy, Divine Profound Martial Door. On both sides of the door were the words Ascending to the 9 heavens and Capturing the moon and Looking down on the heroes of the world. Even though it was not emitting any aura, it somehow felt like it was emitting an imperious aura. Brother Lin, why don't you take out the 3 treasures? Ji Xian said. Qin Nan waved his hand. Psychic hand. As a safety precaution, Ji Xian executed a mysterious technique. Wisps of jade-colored immortal qi began to coil around his hands. Ji Xian took the 5 treasures separately, and in a flash, he arrived at the bottom of the divine profound martial gate. He flicked his finger one by one, and they entered the crevice. Bang, bang, bang. Following a series of explosions, the 5 precious treasures fell down one by one, perfectly matching each other. It's done. Ji Xian's eyes flickered. The trace of worry in his heart had completely disappeared. At the same time, the entire mysterious god martial gate began to vibrate, as a monstrous aura was emitted from it, sweeping in all directions. Bang! Following a deafening explosion, immortal rays burst out from the gate and soared into the clouds, resulting in various rare phenomena. The tightly closed gate slowly opened in 2 directions as if it was being pulled by 2 mysterious forces. A ferocious aura burst out from it like a surging tide. Since the 2 of you have found the 5 treasures together, you may enter together. A faint voice came from the door. Qin Nan and Ji Xian exchanged a glance. Their figures flickered, and they quickly disappeared into the cave. As soon as they entered, the door slowly closed, leaving behind a strange phenomenon in the sky. After a few breaths of time, in the divine profound martial school, Qin Nan and Ji Xian only felt their bodies lighten as they landed in a whole new world. What a dense and pure immortal intent. As soon as the two of them landed on the ground, they instantly sensed that every inch of the void between heaven and earth contained an incomparably majestic and pure immortal will, which was at least 10 times thicker than the outside world. Just this point alone was enough to be comparable to many cultivation holy lands. This divine profound martial school is indeed not simple, Qin Nan exclaimed in his heart. He glanced at his surroundings. The sky was blue, the grass was long, and the birds were flying in the air. The immortal mountains in the distance flickered with various immortal lights. The entire scene looked incomparably peaceful, like the holy land of immortals in legends. Shua. Meanwhile, a figure appeared in front of Qin Nan and Ji Xian. The person was wearing a white robe. His long hair danced in the wind. He had an indescribable aura. He was most likely the spirit of the divine profound martial school. Junior Lin Xiaoji greets Senior. Junior Ji Xian. Qin Nan and Ji Xian immediately brought their fists together and bowed. There's no need to be so courteous. The white-robed youth waved his hand and said with a face full of emotion, I've been waiting here for more than 300 years. Now that someone has finally entered, it won't cause everything in the divine profound martial school to disappear with the wind and return to nothingness. Qin Nan and Ji Xian were startled. The former probed, Senior, what do you mean by scatter with the wind? The white-robed young man glanced at him and said with a calm smile, It's fine to tell you. This divine profound martial gate was born from a great fortune between the heavens and earth. Logically speaking, I should have been like other cultivators, cultivating and breaking through to the Empyrean realm. However, more than 300 years ago, I made a wrong decision, causing the beloved person I met to no longer exist in this world. Therefore, I have completely lost interest in the Empyrean. After that, I specially built this divine profound martial school into a place to train cultivators, waiting for the fated person. Although the heavenly Tao is heartless, karma has a cycle. Today I have helped you. Perhaps one day, my Tao companion and I will be able to reunite in our reincarnation. You can also understand it as me accumulating luck for my next life. Qin Nan and Ji Xian were silent in their hearts. For the divine profound martial school to make such a decision, it was likely that countless people would not understand. However, every person, every living thing, had their own Tao. They could not say anything more. They could only respect their choice. The white-robed young man shrugged and said, All right, I won't say any more unnecessary words to you. Let me introduce you to the current divine profound martial school. I have opened up this divine profound martial school into 3 levels. The first level is for great demons, the second level is for heroic spirits, and the third level is for the heart sea. Each level has astonishing dangers. Of course, there are also great opportunities that I have painstakingly engraved in my heart. If you can follow these levels and go up, I believe the two of you should be able to gain a lot. The white-robed young man looked deeply at Qin Nan and Ji Xian, and said, Fated people, I wish you success. After saying this, the white-robed young man's figure dissipated into countless specks of light and disappeared between heaven and earth. I originally thought that this divine profound martial school was a shocking inheritance left behind by some Empyrean powerhouse. I didn't expect it to be like this. Ji Xian's face was filled with emotion. Don't think too much. We have to find all the opportunities on the first level. Qin Nan activated his void-piercing eye and flew into the distance. Ji Xian quickly followed. The two executed their martial arts while flying, absorbing the pure immortal intent of the heavens and earth. A few moments later, Ji Xian glanced at his surroundings and blurted out, Didn't Senior say that the first level is full of beasts? Is it full of shocking dangers? Why haven't we encountered a single beast yet? Brother Lin, do you think we've been tricked? Chapter 23:58. Roar. The beast let out a roar into the sky. Its voice soared into the clouds like a vast ocean. A strong aura surged in all directions like a storm. The beast was a peak ruler realm existence. Tisk, just one. Ji Xian twisted his lips. With his current level of cultivation, dealing with a peak sovereign realm demonic beast was a piece of cake. However, as soon as he finished his sentence, a shocking sight took place. The sky behind the mountain began to tremble vigorously. Several enormous beasts of various shapes and sizes charged toward the mountain from the distance. They were densely packed together. With a rough glance, there were at least 100 of them. Most importantly, most of them were peak rulers. Only a few of them were in the greater success stage. F***K-me. Ji Xian's face immediately turned pale. Either none of them were here, or 100 of them were here at once. You jinx! Qin Nan's face darkened too. He changed his direction without hesitation and flew in the other direction. Brother Lin, wait for me! Ji Xian's hair stood on its end. He yelled as he ran for his life. The combat strength of the two of them was indeed quite impressive. However, there were too many greater demons in front of them. Not to mention the two of them, even their elder brother wouldn't be a match for them. Roar, roar, roar. An earth-shattering roar reverberated throughout the heavens and earth. Among the beasts, there were some that resembled phoenixes. They spread their wings and sprang forward at a shocking speed. They soon arrived above Qin Nan and Ji Xian, and swung their claws downward. Upper Demon Realm. Qin Nan groaned. The demon realm floated behind him. His demonic aura skyrocketed as he threw a punch forward. Illusionary Jade Sword Art. Ji Xian immediately summoned 18 long swords and performed a hand seal. Sword intense soared into the sky. Bang bang bang. A fierce battle immediately kicked off the curtains. Time trickled by. It took Qin Nan and Ji Xian 3 hours to leave the horde of beasts behind them and arrive at an ancient forest. They had expended a great amount of energy. If it weren't for their teamwork, they would have suffered serious injuries. This senior is too ruthless, isn't he? This isn't the right way to train. Ji Xian grumbled as he recovered. Ji Xian, you're a ruler in the early stage. Don't you have any common sense? Qin Nan said with a dark expression. How dare he complain about the spirit of the mysterious Godgate in the space of the mysterious Godgate? Wasn't he digging his own grave? Cough, it's an accident. I didn't think too much. Ji Xian looked a little embarrassed. Then, he said, Brother Lin, I'm going to do some divination now to see where the opportunities are. After saying that, Ji Xian took out the bamboo sticks one by one and performed a wondrous technique. Brother Lin, let's go this way. Ji Xian quickly came to a conclusion and pointed to the left. Let's wait. Qin Nan nodded. After the two of them had fully recovered, they flew to the left. The ancient forest they were currently in was extremely vast and boundless. In addition, the various ancient trees that grew here were abnormally large. There were even some that were tens of thousands of feet tall with dense branches and leaves that covered the sky and covered the sun. A forbidding aura? A while later, Qin Nan and Ji Xian both discovered that the two blue trees in front of them, together with the surrounding flowers and rocks, had formed an invisible formation, which contained a tremendous force. Hee Brother Lin, I'm good at cracking these kinds of forbidding auras. Ji Xian rubbed his fists and led the way. In less than 2 breaths' time, the entire formation was activated. It transformed into various rare phenomena that spread in all directions. Brother Lin, save me! Ji Xian's scream could be heard. Qin Nan's lips twisted. This Ji Xian's divination skills were so outstanding. Why was he so bad at other things? The two continued to crack the forbidding auras as they ventured deeper into the forest. Around half an hour later, the two sharply noticed that the power of the forbidding auras gradually grew stronger. Some of them were so strong that even Qin Nan and Ji Xian's eye techniques and senses were unable to detect them. They could only wait until they were triggered and react accordingly. Time gradually passed. 2 hours later, Qin Nan and Ji Xian came to a stop. In front of them was a red tree over a few thousand zhang wide and a few 100,000 zhang tall. Its branches were emitting wisps of immortal glow like godly dragons. It was emitting a formidable aura. Qin Nan and Ji Xian could feel a sense of pressure in their hearts. Clearly, there was an even more terrifying killing intent and restriction on the tree. Qin Nan and Ji Xian exchanged glances with one another. They immediately headed toward the top of the tree without hesitation. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The countless tree branches seemed to have come alive in an instant, whipping towards the two of them. Qin Nan executed the art of the immortal demon to defend himself. He fully unleashed the force of his will, which turned into several sabers of wool slashing at the branches. Ji Xian followed behind while executing various sword arts. Bang bang bang! All kinds of explosions immediately resounded. After an hour of fighting, Qin Nan and Ji Xian sprang into the sky and broke through the trap. What's that? Qin Nan immediately saw a golden-red flower the size of a palm growing at the top of the tree. It had 7 petals and was covered in runes. It was emitting a mystical aura. On top of that, Qin Nan also noticed that the flower seemed to be the core of the tree. It continuously absorbed the energy of the heavens and earth through the strange red tree, allowing it to grow stronger. Could this be the flower of 7 demons? Ji Xian glanced at it and was left speechless. Brother Lin, we're screwed this time. It took us so long to find such a fortunate encounter. The flower of the 7 demons has no effect on our cultivation. Its only use is that when you encounter some powerful ancient beasts and let them consume this flower, they will feel an infinite sense of closeness to you and will often recognize you as their master. In other words, it's specifically used to subdue beasts. Qin Nan was slightly startled. He did not expect such a magical treasure to exist in this world. Chapter 23:59. Qin Nan and Ji Xian continued to search for the next fortunate encounter. Time gradually passed. 3 years were gone in the blink of an eye. It was the 2003rd year of the Xingtian calendar. In the past 3 years, Qin Nan and Ji Xian had killed more than 300 beasts in total. 300 of them were peak rulers of Dao. They had also obtained all the fortunate encounters on the first floor. The greatest fortunate encounter that Qin Nan had obtained was a saber art on the scale of a great beast. It was called the Sun-Devouring Saber Art. Its power was on par with a Heaven Highness art. As for Ji Xian, he had obtained 2 ancient Dao-seeking weapons and the corpses of many ancient beasts. He could use them to divine his fortune in the future. On the second year, Qin Nan and Ji Xian found the entrance to the second floor. The second floor consisted of heroic spirit. Their cultivation was not as strong as the beasts on the first floor. Most of them were around the greater success stage of the ruler realm, but their strength was stronger than the beasts on the first floor. In addition to that, the heroic spirits would reappear after being scattered by Qin Nan and Ji Xian around a week later. In other words, they were endless. The battles on the second floor were even more intense. Qin Nan and Ji Xian suffered serious injuries. They almost died. However, due to the tempering of blood and fire, both Qin Nan and Ji Xian's strength had improved tremendously. Both of them even had a breakthrough after finding various fortunate encounters. Qin Nan had achieved the greater success stage of the ruler realm, while Ji Xian had achieved the peak ruler realm. However, after spending an entire year and a half, they finally found the entrance and entered the third floor. What was worth mentioning was that the path of history was not changed by Qin Nan. Ji Xian's luck skyrocketed not long after they reached the third floor. He happened to find the greatest fortunate encounter on the third floor, the Imperial Immortal Sealing Boulder. Not only was the boulder a rare treasure, It contained endless secrets that allowed Ji Xian's strength to improve significantly. As for Qin Nan, his fortuitous opportunity was much smaller. It was an immortal lake called spirit channeling. The effect of this lake was somewhat similar to that of the 9 moons heavenly Tao stone. Other than containing an incomparably vast amount of pure immortal intent, it could also allow one to enter a mysterious and profound state of martial comprehension, providing a huge boost to one's martial path for a short period of time. Qin Nan himself was very satisfied with this opportunity. Because right now all he needed was this. He was now facing 2 problems. Firstly, he had to figure out how to merge the art of the immortal demon in his body with the other martial arts to unleash its full potential. Secondly, he wanted to open up another extraordinary path. Only by solving these 2 problems would he be able to improve his strength significantly, allowing him to be on par with the other 4 cultivators. However, it would be extremely difficult to solve these 2 problems. First of all, Qin Nan needed a great fortune, a great opportunity, to find a solution to the problem. As for the second reason, Qin Nan was facing the same problem as Huang Fuju. Qin Nan had no clue what to do. He did not have a direction. Qin Nan could not be like Huang Fuju, who was able to tell his future reincarnation and guide him. The only thing he could do was to use the power of the spiritualization lake to spread out all the true essences of martial arts that he had learned and all his thoughts. Once he found a direction, he would allow it to evolve. Perhaps he would be able to come up with a brilliant idea. At this very moment, above a faint blue lake, when the last drop of blue on the surface of the lake dissipated, Qin Nan, who was sitting with his legs crossed, slowly opened his eyes. He was brimming with energy. Even though Qin Nan did not have any clue after cultivating in seclusion, the various martial arts he had deduced had improved his thoughts significantly. At least, Qin Nan now had a vague feeling that he was looking at flowers through a mist, instead of feeling empty. "Brother Lin, you've been cultivating in seclusion for a long time." Ji Xian, who had been waiting for a long time, immediately flew over and said with a smile, "Not long ago, Senior Gate Spirit found me. The mystical martial gate is going to close soon." Qin Nan glanced at him. Ji Xian was currently emitting a mystical aura. Even an ordinary cultivator without using an eye technique could tell that Ji Xian was going through a tremendous transformation, which was going to become quite terrifying. Let's head out then." Qin Nan nodded and said. Ji Xian immediately took out 2 talismans. He stuck one on himself and inserted the other into Qin Nan's body. Following a magnificent force, the 2 vanished into thin air. A few moments later, they returned to the upper mystic realm. The 2 bowed at the mystical martial gate in the distance, before Ji Xian immediately asked, "Brother Lin, what are you planning to do next?" Qin Nan glanced at him and said, "Don't tell me you're still thinking of following me?" Ji Xian chuckled and said shamelessly, "Of course, after 3 years of training, I've already treated you as a brother. Since we're brothers, we should share our blessings and hardships together." Qin Nan rolled his eyes and said, "Cut the crap, I don't want to follow a scammer like you." While saying this, Qin Nan scanned his storage bag to see if there were any changes in the past 3 years. He only saw a few badges glowing. Heavenly Highness Long Ruo, the Heaven Merit Palace leader, and Xiao Yueqing had transmitted their thoughts to him. Qin Nan glanced at them one by one. Heavenly Highness Long Ruo and the Heaven Merit Palace leader did not talk about anything. They only asked about Qin Nan's whereabouts and how he was doing. Qin Nan replied briefly before Ji Xian blurted out, "Damn, Song and Zhou Di fought at the Dragon Martial Platform in the 10th Small Immortal Realm. 3 Heaven Highness Realm authorities were involved too." Qin Nan was startled. He quickly calculated the time and realized it was around the same time. According to Senior Kasayapa, Song and Zhou Di had met by chance when they were still in the Master Realm. The 2 were like fire and water at the time, but it was not too bad. After they achieved the ruler realm and went through a lot together, they basically treated each other as mortal enemies. The Dragon Martial platform was also the first time they went all out to fight one another. In the end, both of them ended up with serious injuries. They had used their trump cards to attract the attention of many Heaven Highness realm authorities. As a result, the battle ended without a conclusion. However, it was only a minor incident in history. When Zhou Di, Tsang, Huang Fuju, and Yi Zhaoxian achieved the Heaven Highness realm and ranked first on the Heaven Peak ranking and perfected the Heaven Monarch art, the art of the immortal demon, the indestructible flesh of eternity, and the boulder of time and space, the four gathered at the foot of the Undying Cycle Mountain for a discussion. It was called the Night of the Undying Cycle Mountain. Chapter 2360. Lin Xiaoji, young Master Ling Sun and I have both become rulers. Ha ha ha, we have already caught up to you. Lin Xiaoji, where are you? Young Master Ling Sun and I are coming to find you. Lin Xiaoji, you dare to ignore me. Lin Xiaoji, if you continue to ignore me, I will also ignore you in the future. Lin Xiaoji, you are too. When Qin Nan saw this, his forehead was immediately covered in cold sweat. There were more than 100 messages that Xiao Yueqing had sent to him. Even through the token, he could feel the dense resentment. However, when he saw the last few messages, Qin Nan's heart warmed slightly. The last few messages were sent a month ago. Although the words were very sharp, the worry in them could still be seen. Sorry, I have been in seclusion recently. That place isolated the token and so on, so I didn't see these. Qin Nan sent a message. Lin Xiaoji, so you are still alive. I thought you were dead. Xiao Yueqing almost instantly returned to her senses. Her tone was filled with pleasant surprise. Oh right, Lin Xiaoji, young Master Ling Sun and I came to the forbidden area a month ago and took away the treasure here. However, we offended a group of people and are now being hunted down. Quickly come and help us. Xiao Yueqing quickly sent another message. Being hunted down? Qin Nan immediately frowned and asked, Where are you now? Xiao Yueqing said, We are still in the forbidden area. We are using the restriction left behind by a senior to resist them. Quickly come over, we can't hold on for long. Qin Nan immediately said, Good. He looked at Ji Xian and asked, Where is the forbidden area? Ji Xian was slightly taken aback. After thinking for a moment, he clapped his hands and said, I remember. This forbidden area is a rather famous forbidden area in the Middle Profound Realm. What's wrong? You want to go there? Qin Nan nodded and said, I have 2 friends who have encountered danger there. I have to rush over to help them. I will first. Do you want to come with me? Qin Nan suddenly thought of something and looked at Ji Xian. Although he really didn't want to work with this scammer anymore, he had to admit that this scammer's divination ability still came in handy at certain critical moments. Furthermore, this bastard was also a peak ruler. His battle prowess was extremely formidable. Of course. You are my brother, and your brother is also my brother. Ji Xian was overjoyed. He quickly patted his chest. During this trip to the Divine Profound Martial School, his top priority had already been resolved. In the following period of time, he did not have anything else to do, so he might as well stay by Qin Nan's side. Right now, he wanted to figure out the background of this Qin Nan. I know the location of the Forbidden Zone. I'll take you there now. Ji Xian said as he soared into the air. Qin Nan followed closely behind. Qin Nan pondered for a moment, then took out a badge and transmitted his divine sense to the Hall Master of the Heaven Merit Hall. He sincerely treated Xiao Yueqing and Ling Sun as his friends. Now that they were in danger, he had to do his best to help them. The Forbidden Zone was located in the east of the Middle Mystic Land. The Forbidden Zone had existed since 5,000 years ago. Even the rulers of Dao were unaware of its true origin. Although no heaven-defying fortunate encounters had appeared in the Forbidden Zone in the past 5,000 years, there would be fortunate encounters of various sizes almost every year. Furthermore, 1,000 years ago, a sovereign had researched the traversing portal and discovered something very interesting. Of the 100 or so celestials in the current primary upper realm, more than 20 of them had entered the traversing portal when they were young. They had stayed there for a long time, and had obtained good fortune. Although it wasn't enough to prove anything, the Forbidden Zone attracted more and more cultivators after the news spread. Apart from Qin Nan and Ji Xian, most cultivators would choose to explore the intersecting Forbidden Land after achieving the ruler realm. When Qin Nan and Ji Xian arrived at the Forbidden Zone, it was already 4 days later. During these days, Qin Nan, Xiao Yueqing, and Ling Sun had been using their badges to keep in touch. The two of them were still fine, but they were becoming more and more passive. The situation was very bad. "Little brother Lin, this is a wood essence immortal pill. Take one." Ji Xian ran over from afar and threw a light green immortal pill over. After Qin Nan received it, he immediately refined it. A warm feeling spread throughout his body. The Forbidden Zone was also divided into upper, middle, and lower areas. Each area had an extremely astonishing and mysterious martial intent. Even peak ruler realm cultivators wouldn't be able to last more than 2 hours without consuming a wood spirit celestial pill. Qin Nan and Ji Xian did not waste any time. They swiftly entered the Forbidden Zone and rushed forward. They did not even bother looking at the fortunate encounters they stumbled into. Around 6 hours later, Qin Nan and Ji Xian arrived at the edge of the middle area. They followed Xiao Yueqing's instructions and arrived at a rundown city. "Ji Xian and I have arrived." Qin Nan came to a stop and transmitted his thought. "Wait a moment," Xiao Yueqing said. Qin Nan and Ji Xian stayed in place. A few hundred breaths later, Qin Nan and Ji Xian saw the rundown city walls around them emitting rays of light. A formidable force kept gathering above them. Whoosh! In the end, the force completely exploded and swept the two into it. Qin Nan and Ji Xian only felt their vision flickering before they found themselves in an unfamiliar place. Qin Nan opened his eyes and saw Xiao Yueqing and Ling Sun standing in front of him. Their appearances did not change much compared to 3 years ago, but Xiao Yueqing had changed into a tight-fitting dress that perfectly accentuated her figure. They were currently in a huge hall. The walls around them were engraved with various ancient diagrams that were emitting a brilliant glow. Apart from that, the entire palace also received an extremely shocking blow. It continuously shook and emitted all sorts of deafening explosions. "Cultivator Lin, it's been a while." Ling Sun's eyes glittered when he saw them. His slightly pale face wore a smile. "Lin Xiaoji, you're finally here, humph." Xiao Yueqing's eyes flickered with great surprise, but she did not show it on her face. She waved her hand instead. Chapter 2361. Qin Nan rolled his eyes. He could not be bothered with the man. "You must be Ji Xian, right? I'm Ling Sun." Ling Sun bowed to Ji Xian. "You're welcome, Ling Sun. I've long heard of you and Miss Xiao," Ji Xian said with a smile. Qin Nan was slightly surprised by his attitude. Who would have thought that this swindler would still be so courteous when meeting other cultivators? "What's the situation now?" Qin Nan asked. "This time, we encountered an extremely rare ominous flower in the crossing forbidden area. We didn't expect Prince Tianwu to discover it too. After that, Prince Heavenly Crow led a group of cultivators to hunt us down. That was how we escaped to this place." Ling Sun said with a wry smile. "Yueqing and I have used up most of our trump cards." Xiao Yueqing was somewhat indignant as she said, "This Prince Sky Crow is truly unreasonable. Everything has a first-come, first-served basis. Since we found this thing first, it will definitely be ours." A smile appeared on Qin Nan's face when he heard this. He did not expect Xiao Yueqing to be so naive despite being a ruler. In this world, there was no such thing as first come, first serve. It was only about strength. Prince Tianwu? Could it be the one from the ancient Heavenly Crow tribe? Ji Xian asked as he thought of something. Qin Nan gave Child Ling Sun a confused look when he saw Child Ling Sun nodding. Child Ling Sun said, "Cultivator Lin, you might not know this, but the ancient Heavenly Crow tribe is one of the strongest tribes among the 10,000 tribes. They even have a Heaven Highness realm expert. Prince Tianwu is the young master of the ancient Heavenly Crow tribe. He's very talented too. Not only does he have the strength of a ruler in the greater success stage, but he's also ranked 303rd on the Heaven Pole ranking." Qin Nan's eyes flickered. 303rd, that was a lot higher than him. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the attacks from the outside did not stop. Instead, they became even more intense, causing the entire immortal palace to shake continuously. Cracks appeared on the walls. Qin Nan immediately activated his eye of void penetration and looked outside. There were a total of 8 figures outside the immortal palace. Among them, 3 of them had already reached the peak ruler realm. The rest of them were all accomplished rulers. As for the person leading the group, he was a young man with long light golden hair. He wore immortal armor and held a light blue sword that was 10 meters long. His eyes were sharp, and his aura was extraordinary. Compared to the 3 peak sovereigns, he was even more conspicuous. Not only that, Qin Nan could also see that the young man's body contained a majestic and mysterious power of fire. Qin Nan broke out in a cold sweat. No wonder Xiao Qinyue and young Master Ling Sun were in such a sorry state. If Xiao Qinyue and Sir Ling Sun hadn't obtained the method to use the Immortal Palace by chance, they would have been completely defeated before Qin Nan could catch up. "Oh? You actually managed to find 2 cultivators?" Prince Heavenly Crow raised his brows when he noticed something. His thunderous voice echoed in the Immortal Palace. "Ling Sun, Xiao Qinyue, it doesn't matter who you found today, it won't make any difference. If you know what's good for you, you should hand over the flower of no wonder. It's hard on you. If you continue to resist, don't blame me for being merciless with my sword. The others might be intimidated by the Xiao clan and the Heaven Highness orthodoxy behind you, but I'm not afraid. In the current era, the primordial 10,000 races could be said to be the most glorious race. Although the Sky Crow race and other large races were secretly fighting against each other, they were all on the same side on the surface. They would not stand idly by when they encountered any major issues. The situation was only resolved after Zhou Di, Song, and the others achieved the Supreme Highness realm. Prince Heavenly Crow was not being smug when he said the words. He actually had the confidence to do so. Besides, as long as he did not kill Xiao Qinyue and Ling Sun, even if they were seriously injured, the Xiao clan and Ling Sun's orthodoxy would not purposely seek revenge. Otherwise, it would be too embarrassing. "Humph, don't even think about it," Xiao Yueqing snapped furiously. She then looked at Qin Nan. "Lin Xiaoji, what should we do now?" Ling Sun said, "Cultivator Lin, the flower of no wonder is very useful to us. If possible, we should try our best to refine it together with them. It's best if we don't hand it over completely." Qin Nan smiled. He waved his hand before Ling Sun could finish. He looked at Ji Xian and said, "I'll leave the 3 peak rulers to you. You should be able to trap them for 6 hours, right?" Ji Xian was displeased. He said, "Just 3 peak rulers? Aren't you looking down on me a little too much? I'll leave Prince Heavenly Crow to you. I'll take care of the rest." Xiao Qinyue and Ling Sun were startled upon hearing the words. There were 3 peak rulers and 4 rulers in the greater success stage. This Ji Xian was actually able to take on all of them by himself? If Ji Xian was so strong, why had they never heard of his name on the Heaven Peak ranking? As a matter of fact, Ji Xian's strength was only slightly stronger than ordinary cultivators before he entered the Gate of God Profound Martial Arts. However, the trip to the Gate of God Profound Martial Arts had allowed Ji Xian to master his own extraordinary path of cultivation. He was still evolving too. He would surely be stronger than the geniuses who had mastered extraordinary paths in the future. Sure. Qin Nan nodded. I'll attack first then. Ji Xian stretched his back. A magnificent aura burst out of his body and suppressed the pressure of the hall. An ancient immortal sword appeared behind him. He merged with the sword as his sword intent soared into the sky. If Xiao Qingyue and Ling Sun felt that Ji Xian was polite before, the current Ji Xian was extremely sharp, as if he could slash anything in the world. Open the door. Ji Xian groaned. Xiao Yueqing subconsciously activated the seal. The tightly shut door opened abruptly. Trying to force their way out? The same thought crossed the minds of Prince Heavenly Crow and the others. Prince Heavenly Crow and the others saw Ji Xian and Qin Nan flying out from the door and heading straight for them. A peak ruler and a ruler in the greater success stage? Prince Heavenly Crow's eyes flickered with disdain. What kind of storm could such a lineup cause in front of them? It seems like you won't be afraid if I don't make you bleed. The look in Prince Tian Wu's eyes quickly turned cold again. Did they really think he was only trying to scare them? Let's cripple this peak ruler first. Prince Heavenly Crow immediately transmitted a divine will. Got it. The three peak rulers immediately collected their thoughts. Their auras rose once again. These three cultivators were all swordsmen, and they immediately executed an ancient sword art. All sorts of sword wills were released one after another, and the power of laws rippled out from within, striking fear into the hearts of the onlookers, not daring to face it head-on. Sky Transformation Sword Art. Ji Xian took the lead and let out a roar. 33 illusionary sword formations appeared above the three peak sovereigns. They looked like giant beasts as they lunged at the three peak sovereigns. Crap, he's no ordinary person. The three peak rulers were startled. They immediately switched their sword arts from offense to defense without any hesitation. They took a few steps back. Inescapable net. Ji Xian chased after the three peak rulers and waved his left hand. The power of rules in the sky above turned into countless strings falling from the sky. Each string was like an ancient serpent, targeting the three peak rulers and the other four peak rulers in the greater success stage. The strings slithered away. He and Qin Nan had comprehended the move when they were fighting against a giant serpent from the 9 heavens. It was perfect for trapping someone. An expert? Prince Heavenly Crow's eyes immediately burst into a faint purple flame. He sprang forward at a shocking speed and arrived behind Ji Xian in just the blink of an eye. He threw a punch at Ji Xian. I'm your opponent. In the nick of time, Qin Nan suddenly appeared beside Ji Xian. Wisps of demonic intent gathered at the tip of his fist and sprang forward. Prince Heavenly Crow's eyes widened. He withdrew his arm and turned around. He threw a punch forward too. Bang! A deafening explosion immediately rang out. The moment the two fists collided, strong gusts of wind swept across the place. Qin Nan was knocked a step back, but Prince Heavenly Crow was knocked 10 steps back before he managed to stabilize himself. Another expert? Prince Heavenly Crow's eyes flickered with astonishment. He initially thought that the two of them were just ordinary ruler realm cultivators, but he didn't expect their battle prowess to be so impressive. TSK, I didn't expect Ling Sun and Xiao Yueqing to find two helpers like you. But that's fine too, I like fighting against experts the most. Prince Heavenly Crow stuck out his tongue covered in runes and licked his lips. Flames of destruction. A faint purple flame burst out of Prince Heavenly Crow's body and burned fiercely. The surroundings were dyed purple by the light. Every cultivator felt a shocking heat, as if any flesh, power of rules, heaven highness art, etc. would be burned into ashes by the flame. Again, Prince Heavenly Crow did not use any weapon. He simply charged at Qin Nan. A strong aura of flames surged at Qin Nan. Lin Xiaoji, we're here to lend you a hand. Xiao Yueqin yelled. She charged forward with Ling Sun. It's fine, go and help Ji Xian. Qin Nan rejected the offer. A strong force of will burst out of his body and formed a saber of will. An illusionary saber intent loomed in all directions like a heavy rain. Prince Heavenly Crow's eyes flickered. He picked up his pace and arrived in front of Qin Nan in the blink of an eye. He threw a punch at him. Qin Nan's eyes seemed to have seen through Prince Heavenly Crow's thoughts. He raised his saber and blocked the punch. Meanwhile, Qin Nan flipped his wrist and flicked the saber of will upward, knocking the punch away. He then stabbed forward. Bang bang bang! The sky and land in front of the immortal palace soon fell into chaos. Xiao Yueqing and Ling Sun worked together to support Ji Xian. They executed all kinds of moves to suppress the 7 rulers of Dao. The battle between Qin Nan and Prince Tianwu was extremely intense too. Every breath was filled with astonishment. However, the two were still on par for the time being. Cultivator, which faction are you from? There aren't many people in the primary upper realm who are able to control such a strong force of will and fight against me with your cultivation in the greater success stage of the ruler realm. Prince Heavenly Crow suddenly asked. I'm just a nobody, Qin Nan said with a smile. His hair drifted in the wind. A nobody? Ha ha, such a nobody. If that's the case, I won't waste my time with you. I've only used 50% of my strength. Prince Sky Crow roared with laughter. The faint purple flames on his body suddenly expanded. In addition to that, the purple flames evolved on their own. They grew 3 pairs of giant wings, a pair of giant claws, and the outline of countless feathers. An incomparably shocking pressure instantly rushed out in all directions. Even Qin Nan felt like he had returned to the mysterious celestial martial gate and was facing an ancient beast. This was the power of the ancient Heavenly Crow tribe's bloodline. According to the ancient legends, the ancestor of the ancient Heavenly Crow tribe was an ordinary person. Later on, he coincidentally encountered a 6-winged golden crow that was on the verge of death. The 6-winged golden crow was a terrifying beast born of nature. There was only one of it. It did not want the 6-winged flame to disappear from the world. Therefore, it passed down everything it had learned to the ancestor of the ancient Heavenly Crow tribe. It also allowed the ancestor of the ancient Heavenly Crow tribe to absorb all of its blood and refine its remains. After that, the ancestor of the ancient Heavenly Crow tribe underwent a shocking transformation. Then, it was passed down from generation to generation. In the ancient Heavenly Crow tribe, Prince Heavenly Crow was able to become the young clan leader not only because of his extraordinary birth, but because his bloodline power had reached the level of crossing the ancestor. He could easily form the 6-winged golden crow's image. Moreover, it was a unique 6-winged golden crow that belonged to him. Chapter 2362. Qin Nan showed no sign of fear upon seeing this. The saber of will in his hand shattered into pieces, which instantly transformed into a magnificent ocean of will that surged downward. A sizzling sound took place as the two forces collided. Qin Nan felt a scorching pain in his heart. Ha ha! My flames of the golden crow can burn everything in the world, including the power of will. Prince Heavenly Crow burst out laughing. As expected of the 301st ranked on the Heaven Pole ranking, how impressive! Qin Nan exclaimed. He withdrew the power of will in his body. He immediately executed the 12 arts of Dao seeking, including the Battle Dao Immortal Manuscript. His aura skyrocketed tremendously. Sun-devouring saber art. Qin Nan slashed forward. 12 different Dao intents burst out from the slash. Various kinds of arts were unleashed together with the peerless saber art. It felt like it was going to devour everything in its path. Qin Nan was able to combine 13 Dao arts during the battle at the mystical martial gate. He has practiced so many martial arts? Is this the extraordinary path of cultivation he has mastered? Prince Heavenly Crow's eyes widened as he felt a great pressure. The 6 pairs of fiery wings began to beat fiercely. 6 ancient forms, Golden Crow suspends the path. 6 ancient forms, Golden Crow ascends the cauldron. 6 ancient forms. Prince Heavenly Crow executed one after another secret arts of his tribe. A series of loud cries echoed across the place. Illusionary figures of 6-winged golden crows appeared in the sky. They beat their wings and swung their fiery claws at Qin Nan. Qin Nan was like a peerless divine god of battle in the midst of the rare phenomenon. His figure was encapsulated in a brilliant glow as he executed various martial arts in succession, slashing the ocean of flames apart and tearing the golden crow into pieces. Very well. Prince Heavenly Crow's battle intent skyrocketed. The blood in his body became restless. 6 form, 6-winged heaven-shattering. Prince Heavenly Crow gathered all his will and the power of rules on the 6 pairs of fiery wings. They grew rapidly until they were able to shroud the sky with a single wing. They slashed at Qin Nan fiercely. Qin Nan's heart skipped a beat. It felt like he saw 6 peerless immortal sabers crossing the rift to slash him into pieces, not leaving a single trace of his aura behind. "Watch out!" Xiao Yueqing blurted out in the distance. "Demons descend." In the nick of time, the 13th art of Dao seeking in Qin Nan's body was activated. His aura suddenly transformed into the peerless demon progenitor realm. It turned the sky around him into a demon realm. The other arts of Dao seeking that Qin Nan had practiced dimmed in comparison. They were greatly suppressed by the art of Dao seeking. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The boundless demonic intent turned into enormous demons. They landed beside Qin Nan and surrounded Qin Nan like an army of demons protecting their king. Bang! The heavens and earth shook vigorously. Did he just block the 6 ancient forms? Who exactly is he? How did he master such a terrifying demonic art? The cultivators who were trapped by Ji Xian and his crew were astounded, unable to believe what they were seeing. I didn't expect that his strongest point wasn't those cultivation techniques, but this one. If that's the case. Prince Heavenly Crow was astounded too, but he did not lose his focus during the battle. He came up with a plan in less than a breath's time. 6 forms into 1. Prince Heavenly Crow let out a roar and soared into the sky. Wisps of purple light flickered. Prince Heavenly Crow was no longer a cultivator, but an ancient 6-winged golden crow that carried the great power of the heavens and earth. Fist of the Demon. Demonic flames burned fiercely in Qin Nan's eyes. Boundless power of the rules of the superior demon and a towering aura gathered around his body before he finally threw a punch. Bang! All of the light was swept up into a great chaos. Ji Xian and his crew, and the rest of the rulers of Dao were startled. "Watch out!" Xiao Yueqing's eyes widened all of a sudden. 3 stars Dao flame sword. The Prince of the Heavenly Crow took out an ancient Dao-seeking weapon and dashed through the flames at a shocking speed. He unleashed a shocking sword intent that went right for Qin Nan's chest. Bang! A huge blast took place. Did it work? Prince Heavenly Crow was overjoyed, but his expression froze in the next moment. A mysterious black vortex that seemed to have gathered all the demons in the world was spinning in front of Qin Nan. It had completely resisted the sword intent of the 3 stars Dao Flame Sword. It did not budge at all. Qin Nan looked into Prince Heavenly Crow's eyes. Thud! Prince Tianwu's heart skipped a beat. He did not know why, but he felt a sense of dread in his heart. Upper Demon Realm, devouring all living things. The art of the immortal demon began to display its terrifying strength. The upper demon realm began to expand rapidly. It reached a height of over 10,000 zhang within an instant as it surged forward. Wherever it passed, the wills of Prince Sky Crow's techniques would be sucked into it and crushed into dust. Crap! Prince Tian Wu's expression changed greatly. As he retreated rapidly, he performed one ancient sword technique after another. Bang bang bang! At that moment, Prince Tian Wu was at a complete disadvantage. No matter what he did, Qin Nan was like a boundless darkness that devoured everything he had. A few hundred breaths later, Qin Nan's punch penetrated Prince Heavenly Crow's defense and landed on his chest. Bang! Prince Heavenly Crow was sent flying like a meteor, creating a huge pit in the ground. As a member of the ancient Heavenly Crow tribe, his flesh was extremely strong. However, he spat out a mouthful of blood from the impact. His face turned pale and his aura weakened significantly. The prince lost. The 3 peak rulers and the 4 rulers in the greater success stage felt like they were dreaming. They had personally experienced how terrifying Prince Heavenly Crow was. He won. Xiao Yueqing and young Master Ling Sun both had joyous expressions, especially Xiao Yueqing. She was incomparably excited in her heart. Even her fair cheeks became completely red. It was as if she was even happier than herself winning. Cultivator Heavenly Crow, thank you. Chapter 2363. Cough cough. Who would have thought I've lost twice in just 3 years? Fellow Taoist, can you tell me your Taoist name now? Prince Heavenly Crow sat up and consumed an immortal pill before asking. Lin Xiaoji. Qin Nan said with a smile. At this moment, an intense burning sensation suddenly came from the mark on the back of his hand. Qin Nan raised his head as he sensed something. He saw the sky a few hundred zhang high turning into a pitch-black vortex. Following this, a pure force descended from the sky and struck Qin Nan's figure. Qin Nan immediately felt warm. The power of the rules that he had expended previously was fully recovered. He even had signs of a breakthrough. Lin Xiaoji, you have defeated Prince Heavenly Crow, thus your rank has increased to 301st. You will be rewarded for your efforts. The voice of the Heaven Peak ranking echoed in Qin Nan's divine sense. Congratulations, Cultivator Lin, your rank has increased. Prince Heavenly Crow and the others brought their fists together. He has left me far behind in an instant. If I had known earlier, I would have attacked Prince Heavenly Crow earlier. Ji Xian murmured. Now that it's over, let's go. Qin Nan was not too bothered by it. He transmitted his thought to Ji Xian and the others and bid farewell to Prince Tian Wu. He turned around and prepared to leave. Wait! Prince Heavenly Crow suddenly said. What else do you want? Xiao Qingyue asked unpleasantly. Cultivator Lin, you might have beaten me this time, but it doesn't mean you've won everything. Prince Heavenly Crow said with a smile. A series of rapid whooshes took place as soon as he finished the sentence. Qin Nan and the others raised their heads and saw 5 figures with shocking auras flying toward them rapidly in the form of ancient rays. Each of their auras had reached the peak ruler realm. Prince Tian Wu, how is the situation? After the 5 of them flew over, they swept a glance at Qin Nan and the others before asking Prince Tian Wu. Gentlemen, after Prince Tian Wu transmitted his divine perception, he looked at Qin Nan and the others and said with a smile, There are 4 of you and 12 of us. There are a total of 8 peak sovereigns. Can you stop them? Xiao Qingyue's pretty face changed slightly as she said, Prince Heaven Crow, you're too despicable. Although Qin Nan and Ji Xian's battle prowess was heaven-defying, it was impossible for them to win against such a powerful lineup. If they really fought, the 4 of them would definitely be defeated very quickly. Little brother Lin, I won't be able to stop these 8 peak sovereigns. I can only stop 5 at most. Ji Xian said with a wry smile. I'm fine. Qin Nan shook his head. Despicable? Miss Xiao, this sentence of yours is a little too much. Everyone loves natural treasures. It's up to the person who can obtain them. I happen to have a lot of friends, and I'm very cautious too. I've asked a few of my friends to lend me a hand since I'm unable to break into the Immortal Palace. If you can ask Cultivator Lin and the others to come, I can do the same too. Prince Tianwu placed his hands behind him and glanced at Qin Nan. However, I don't want to make things difficult for you. I'm quite fated with Cultivator Lin too. How about this? Take out the Wu Miao flower, I'll refine it together with Cultivator Lin. Xiao Qingyue clenched her teeth. This Prince Tianwu, how could he neglect the other three just like that? However, she and Child Ling Sun immediately transmitted their thoughts to Qin Nan without hesitation. Lin Xiaoji, this is the only way now. You should absorb more of the Wu Miao flower. Don't let this rooster take advantage of you. Qin Nan almost burst out laughing when he heard the word rooster. Xiao Yueqing was quite good at mocking people. That won't be necessary. Qin Nan shook his head. He glanced at Prince Tianwu and said, Cultivator Tianwu, thank you for your kind intentions, but we'll forget about refining it together with you. We won't hand over the Wu Miao flower. Most people at the scene were startled when they heard the words. Prince Tianwu's expression sank slightly too. He did admire Qin Nan, but Qin Nan was being too unreasonable by saying such words. It seemed like Qin Nan was being loyal, but Prince Tianwu thought it was a little foolish to do so. Cultivator Lin, even though you are stronger than me, I still have to give you a piece of advice. In this world, when it's time to lower your head, you should still lower your head. Don't be blinded by some illusory things. Prince Tianwu said calmly. Cultivator Tianwu is right, but, Qin Nan said with a smile, we've won this round. As soon as he finished the sentence, a series of rapid whooshes could be heard in the distance. Prince Tianwu and the others were startled. They subconsciously looked in the direction of the sound and saw the Heaven Merit Palace Master leading a few other palace masters toward them at a shocking speed. There were 7 of them in total. Their auras were all peak rulers of Dao. Haha, Brother Lin, we finally meet again. The Heaven Merit Palace Master burst out laughing when he saw Qin Nan. He was in a good mood. He had almost suffocated during the past 3 years. Greetings, seniors. Qin Nan immediately bowed. Brother Lin, you don't have to be so courteous with us. The other palace masters were given a fright when they saw Qin Nan's reaction. They quickly returned the greeting. This, in addition to Prince Tianwu and the others, even Xiao Yueqing, Child Ling Sun, and Ji Xian were stunned. They were currently in the battlefield of Heavenly Highnesses. Even though the Xiao clan, the ancient Heavenly Crow tribe, and their Heavenly Highness orthodoxies had a lot of rulers of Dao, and most of them were in the battlefield of Heavenly Highnesses, it was already impressive if they could find a few rulers of Dao. After all, every ruler of Dao had their own matters to attend to. They might even be involved in the internal conflicts of their clans, ancient tribes, and orthodoxies, so they would turn a blind eye to it. Prince Tianwu had spent a lot of effort and paid a hefty price to gather this group of people. However, they did not expect Qin Nan to be able to gather 7 peak rulers of Dao so easily. Furthermore, judging from the attitude of these peak rulers, they seemed to be very respectful toward Qin Nan. What should we do now? Prince Tianwu quickly reacted and racked his brains. He had spent too much effort on this Wu Miao flower. He could not just watch it slip away right in front of his eyes. However, what should he do? If a battle broke out, they had no chance of winning. If they did not, then... Chapter 2364. Cultivator Lin. The 8 peak rulers of Dao soon landed in front of Qin Nan and brought their fists together. Their gazes contained a trace of curiosity and sizing him up. Ugh! Qin Nan was stunned too. He could understand if the Heaven Merit Palace Master and the others had come together. However, he did not recognize the 8 peak rulers of Dao. Lin Xiaoji, these 8 are the Palace Masters under Heaven Highness Yan Ming. They have purposely come to the Heaven Highness battlefield under Heaven Highness Yen Ming's orders to lend you a hand when necessary. By the way, you might not know this, but Heaven Highness Yen Ming and Senior Heaven Highness Long Ro are very close. They are friends of life and death. The Heaven Merit Palace Master immediately transmitted his voice to Qin Nan. Qin Nan immediately realized what was going on. It seemed like Heaven Highness Long Ro had said something to Heaven Highness Yen Ming, which resulted in Heaven Highness Yen Ming doing the same thing. Seniors, thank you for your help. Qin Nan immediately returned the greeting. Cultivator Lin, please don't be so courteous with us. The 8 peak rulers of Dao immediately waved their hand. Another 8? Prince Heavenly Crow, Ji Xian, and the others were dumbfounded upon seeing this. Including the Heaven Merit Palace Master and the others, there were 15 peak rulers of Dao. How powerful was it to summon so many peak rulers of Dao in one go? Cultivator Lin, it seems like I've taken it for granted. I didn't expect Cultivator Lin to be so resourceful too. I've completely lost this time. Prince Heavenly Crow was someone who had gone through a lot. He soon collected his thoughts and said with a wry smile, "We'll meet again if fate allows it." Qin Nan said with a calm smile. "Sure." Prince Heavenly Crow nodded. He transmitted his thoughts to the other cultivators, who soon turned into rays of light and flew into the distance. He was thoroughly convinced of his loss. He did not have any other thoughts. Once they left, Ji Xian, Xiao Yueqing, and young Master Ling Sun surrounded Qin Nan. "Little brother Lin, that's not very kind of you. You have so much power, but you didn't tell us earlier. You made me worry for nothing." Ji Xian transmitted his voice with a hint of bitterness. "Lin Xiaoji, you wouldn't have used your relationship with Emperor Long Ruo, right?" Xiao Yueqing and young Master Ling Sun knew some inside information. Their expressions were grave. If Qin Nan used a chance to let Emperor Long Ruo take action for them, that would be too wasteful. "No, they came to help me because of something else." Qin Nan transmitted his voice to the 3 of them. "Really? Don't lie to us." Xiao Yueqing's delicate face was full of suspicion. She had investigated Lin Xiaoji and found out that he had no background at all. Instead, he had offended Sword Curve. "I really didn't." Qin Nan looked helpless. "That's good." Xiao Yueqing and young Master Ling Sun let out a sigh of relief. "Cultivator Lin, there's one more thing. Our Honorable Flame Venerate asked us to thank you. 2 years ago, the Chaos Orthodoxy destroyed the Sword Melody Orthodoxy. Our senior was involved and benefited a lot from it." The leader of the 8 peak rulers immediately transmitted his voice to Qin Nan. "It doesn't have much to do with me. Senior Yen Ming benefited from it all because of his own abilities." Qin Nan waved his hand with a smile. "Everything was flawless. All right, now that it's settled, what's your plan? Do you want to return to the palace with us and rest for a while?" The Heaven Merit Palace Master came forward and asked Qin Nan and the others. "I can't thank all of you seniors enough for your help this time. Lin Xiaoji, why don't we go back with the seniors and refine the immeasurable flower into immeasurable pills to improve our cultivation? What do you think?" Young Master Ling Sun asked. That's a good idea." Xiao Yueqing nodded. "I haven't had the chance to ask you, what kind of effect does the immortal flowers have?" Qin Nan was curious. The flowers are one of the rare artifacts of the world. They only grow in the auraless ground, and only one of them will appear every 300 years. The flowers have 2 main effects. First, it can help a cultivator to break through their current cultivation. Second, it can allow a cultivator to experience the secrets of a Heaven Highness. Young Master Ling Sun said. Qin Nan's eyes flickered with astonishment. No wonder the Prince of the Heavenly Crow Palace had gathered such a group of cultivators. Although experiencing the mysteries of an Empyrean overlord once wouldn't bring any substantial benefits, Perhaps when one attempted to break through to the Empyrean realm in the future, this experience would plant a seed that could change one's destiny and allow one to successfully become an Empyrean overlord. Cultivator Ling Sun, Miss Xiao, the immortal flowers are meaningless to me. Why don't you return with the seniors? That way you can refine them without being hunted down, Qin Nan said after a slight ponder. That won't do. Cultivator Lin, that won't do. Young Master Ling Sun, Xiao Yueqing, and the other peak rulers spoke at the same time. The former did not want to be separated from Qin Nan, while the latter did not want to meet Qin Nan. They definitely wanted to chat more with Qin Nan and improve their relationship. Seniors, I have other plans now. Qin Nan coughed and said, I was lucky enough to defeat the Prince of the Heavenly Crow Palace this time. My ranking on the heaven-level leaderboard has risen to 301st. As long as I defeat the powerhouses within the top 300, I can enter the top 200. As everyone knew, every cultivator would receive a reward as long as their ranking on the heaven-level leaderboard increased. However, under normal circumstances, the reward would not be great after one's ranking increased. However, there was an exception. For example, one could enter the top 300 from the top 400, or enter the top 200 from the top 300. As long as one could enter the top 100, the reward would be extremely great. Moreover, there was a very important point. The rewards of the heaven-level leaderboard had always been tailor-made. For example, after Qin Nan had completed the assessment, the heaven-level leaderboard had specially given him a mysterious jade stone that was compatible with the heavenly Dao Nine Moons stone. It could maximize the effects of the heavenly Dao Nine Moons stone. Qin Nan had been wondering if he should do the same as before and rely on his understanding of this era to head to some forbidden area. Chapter 2365. Oh? You can enter the top 200? You have to head over immediately. The rewards given by the Celestial Pole Roll for this kind of change in ranking will be huge. The Heaven's Merit Palace Master's eyes lit up. Lin Xiaoji didn't disappoint him. He had reached such a level in just 3 years. I'll go with you, Xiao Yueqing said without hesitation. No. You and Taoist Ling soon managed to obtain this flower with great difficulty. The most important thing now is to increase your cultivation. Moreover, it's meaningless for you to go with me now. Qin Nan refused. You, Xiao Yueqing pouted. She knew that Qin Nan's words made sense, but she still felt uncomfortable. Yueqing, Taoist Lin is thinking for you. If you go with him, you won't have any chance to improve and will waste a lot of time. Young Master Ling Sun smiled gently. All right then. Take your time to improve your cultivation. I'll come find you after I reach the greater success stage of the ruler realm. Xiao Yueqing said. Okay. Qin Nan nodded, but he sighed in his heart. He was no longer the same person as before. He wasn't so dull when it came to relationship. It seemed that Ji Xian was right. If that was the case, he would have to avoid meeting Xiao Yueqing as much as possible in the following period of time until her feelings for him completely faded. After all, he wasn't from this era. He didn't have any thoughts about romance after returning to this era. Since that's the case, I won't say anything else. If you encounter any difficulties, just send us a message. We don't have anything to do over there, so we'll be there at any time. The Heaven's Merit Palace Master was very straightforward. Old Sun, let's go back first. The peak ruler called Old Sun nodded. Little friend Lin, we'll take our leave. Qin Nan cupped his fists. Seniors, farewell. The Heavenly Merit Hall's Hall Master and the others soared into the air. Young Master Ling Sun also brought Xiao Yueqing and followed behind. The latter was still somewhat reluctant as she shouted, Lin Xiaoji, don't forget. Once I advance to ruler, I will come and find you. Qin Nan waved his hand, causing the group to fly into the clouds and disappear into the distance. There's a saying that goes, "I'll break your heart, but you don't seem to know." Ji Xian stood at the side and pretended to be emotional. "Do you want to die?" Qin Nan's sharp eyes immediately swept over. Ahem, it was just a joke. Why take it so seriously? Speaking of which, this Xiao Yueqing really isn't bad. She's beautiful and extremely talented. She's also the eldest daughter of the Xiao clan. There aren't many women in the primary upper realm who can compare to her. Are you really not tempted? Ji Xian asked curiously. What does that have to do with you? Alright, let's part ways here. Qin Nan rolled his eyes and said grumpily. F***ck, you dragged me all the way here to help your friend solve the problem, and now you want to abandon me? Little brother Lin, can you be any more shameless? Ji Xian's eyes immediately widened. Don't think too much. I just said that I want to raise my ranking. If you follow me, it will only delay your time. You won't get any benefits. Qin Nan shook his head. It doesn't matter. I have nothing to do now. I'm not interested in raising my ranking for the time being. Before my master died, he gave me a divination and said that I will definitely become a heavenly venerable level powerhouse. I don't need to do these things. Ji Xian chuckled, his face full of self-satisfaction. Qin Nan was silent. This guy's master, he was really an expert. Besides, if you want to raise your ranking, you have to find those genius powerhouses ranked in the top 300, right? The great Empyrean battlefield is so vast, and the whereabouts of those people are abnormally ethereal. If I don't help you, can you find them? Ji Xian said proudly. That makes sense. Then, help me divine my fortune. Qin Nan thought for a while and nodded. No, I'm regretting it now. If you don't give me some benefits, I won't help you. For the sake of our brotherhood, teach me the first part of the demonic cultivation method you practice. Forget it. Okay, I'll do it right away. I really don't understand. You want my help, but your attitude is so bad. Ji Xian muttered in a low voice, took out the bamboo stick, and asked, Who are you looking for? Qin Nan thought for a while and said, First, I'll rank between the 299th to the 250th. The higher the ranking on the celestial poll list, the harder it was to raise it. Moreover, there were more and more genius powerhouses at the peak of the sovereign realm. Qin Nan had to challenge them step by step. He couldn't challenge those who were too strong in one go. Ji Xian nodded, suddenly thought of something, and said, By the way, I have to tell you that I'm only doing divinations, not specifically to find people. When the time comes, I can only deduce a rough idea. I can't guarantee who I'll meet. Okay. Ji Xian didn't waste any more time. He immediately formed a series of seals, and the bamboo sticks quickly flew up. After a while, Ji Xian's eyes lit up and he said, Brother Lin, there are 2 places in total. The first is the Futian mountain range in the upper profound realm, and the other is the graceful palace in the upper profound realm. Don't worry, wait a while. Ji Xian cast a spell for a while and said, If we go to the Futian mountain range this time, it'll be great luck. We'll definitely gain a lot. If we go to the graceful palace, then we'll be in great danger. It's very likely that we'll encounter misfortune and die. Qin Nan looked at him suspiciously and said, Are you sure? Ji Xian said angrily, Of course. You're actually doubting my ability to do divinations? In this major upper realm, apart from the cultivators who are much stronger than me, there are also some taboos that I can't divine for the time being. Who else can I? Speaking of this, he stopped abruptly. Wasn't there someone standing in front of him that he couldn't divine? Then let's go to the Futian mountain range, Qin Nan said with a faint smile. Although Luo Yunyang had always believed that the more dangerous a place was, the greater the rewards he would reap. However, the purpose of this trip was only to figure out his level on the celestial poll list and obtain reward. There was no need for him to take such a big risk. Yes, Let's make it clear first. If we obtain any peerless inheritance in the Futian mountain range this time, we'll split it equally. No, 73. 73? Brother Lin, you're too much. It has to be 64 no matter what. 82 then. Why don't you say 91? Chapter 2366. The Futian mountain range was located in the west of the Upper Mystic region. It had already existed in the great exalted celestial battlefield 10,000 years ago. No one knew the secrets it contained. However, about 5,000 years ago, something big happened in the Futian mountain range. In the depths of the Futian mountain range, a peerless phenomenon appeared, attracting countless cultivators. Not long after, a cultivator named Yi Qing announced to everyone that he had become the successor of the Futian mountain range and grasped the secrets of the Futian mountain range. His words caused a huge uproar. At the same time, Yi Qing was being chased by countless cultivators. However, he was able to neutralize all of them. Furthermore, when the 10 celestial trees appeared, he unleashed unparalleled battle prowess and slaughtered his way through the crowd to become a celestial Taoist name. His name shook the world as the Qing Emperor. However, 500 years later, Yi Qing encountered a great calamity and died. The cultivators who had lost interest in the Futian mountain range became active again. They thought that after the Qing Emperor died, the successor of the Futian mountain range would no longer exist. They still had a chance. However, it was a pity that although the peerless phenomenon appeared no less than 100 times in the past few thousand years, no one became the successor. Therefore, many people thought that the greatest opportunity in the Futian mountain range had passed away along with the Qing Emperor. This also caused the number of cultivators who went to the Futian mountain range to decrease in the past 1,000 years. Normally, it was extremely difficult to meet a cultivator on the heavenly pole ranking. However, as someone from the future, Qin Nan knew very well that the greatest opportunity in the Futian mountain range had not disappeared. On the contrary, Yi Qing had only obtained the first half of the inheritance. After 100 years, another peerless phenomenon would appear in the Futian mountain range. A scholar named Xiao Shuihan would obtain the greatest opportunity in the Futian mountain range and become the true successor of the Futian mountain range. Moreover, Zhou Di had met this Xiao Shuihan later on and chatted with him for a few hours. Qin Nan knew how this Xiao Shuihan obtained the greatest opportunity in the Futian mountain range. He also knew what that opportunity was. Unfortunately, even though he was tempted, it was still too early. If he waited another 100 years, he would have returned to the future. Time flowed by, and roughly 3 days later, Qin Nan and Huang Xiaolong arrived at the outermost perimeter of the Futian mountain range. Looking up, there were many tall mountains that reached into the clouds. They flickered with colorful immortal lights, making them feel incomparably ethereal. Instinctively, one would want to enter and pursue the mysterious opportunity. Above is the 8 trigrams, below is the 5 elements, below is the yin-yang, and below is the heavens, prying into fate. Ji Xian took out the bones of a few ancient beasts, arranged them into a magical formation, and murmured something. "Let's go this way." About 100 breaths later, Ji Xian pointed towards the southeast. The two of them did not delay and flew forward. Not long after, they felt an extremely powerful pressure. Every inch of space in the Futian mountain range was filled with an existence called the Futian ancient will. The will was extraordinary. Even people like Qin Nan and Ji Xian could not afford to ignore it. They had to execute their martial arts to protect themselves. The Futian mountain range is really desolate if it isn't for the rare phenomena deep inside it. It's nothing compared to the forbidden grounds of the graceful palace. The two of them flew for a few hours. Ji Xian exclaimed when they arrived at the central region. They had only stumbled into a cultivator in the greater success stage along the way, and it was a ruler in the greater success stage. You better not make a mistake. Qin Nan reminded Ji Xian out of kindness. If he did not find anything on the journey, it would waste a lot of his time. With the time he had, he could easily rely on what he knew in the future to search for a great opportunity. Don't worry, don't you know who I, Ji Xian, am? Ji Xian patted his chest and promised confidently. Around 3 hours later, when the two of them were about to reach the inner region, Ji Xian suddenly noticed something. He blurted out, "Look, there's a rare phenomenon ahead. Besides, it's not as simple as it looks." Qin Nan activated his eye of illusionary insight and lifted his gaze. He saw the sky was dyed purple with all kinds of mystical flowers blooming continuously. Ji Xian said proudly, "The rare phenomenon ahead clearly means that a great opportunity has appeared. As such, the genius in the top 300 that you're looking for must be one of them. He must be trying to find the fortunate encounter. Let's head over there now. If you can defeat him, not only will you be ranked in the top 300, you'll be able to obtain a great opportunity. You might even have a great chance of securing the fortunate encounter." "Brother Lin, didn't I tell you that we're going to find something great in the Futian mountain range? What do you think? Isn't my divination skill impressive?" Qin Nan nodded and said, It's impressive indeed. We can split the loot 70-30. Ji Xian's eyes glittered. 70-30? Huh? That's not right. Why is it 70-30? Shouldn't it be 50-50? Ji Xian suddenly collected his thoughts and realized that Qin Nan was already flying toward the rare phenomenon. He immediately followed behind him. Around half an hour later, the two arrived at the place where the rare phenomenon was taking place. The rare phenomenon was indeed extraordinary. It originated from a huge valley with the valley as its center. It covered an area with a radius of a few 100,000 li. Standing under it, one could sense its magnificent aura. Not only that, the entire enormous valley was completely enveloped by a faint golden light. The glow doesn't seem to be as simple as it seems. My eye technique and divine sense can't see through it," Ji Xian said in astonishment after observing it for a moment. His eye technique was a lot stronger than Qin Nan's. It was a famous ancient immortal eye. "We can only attack with brute force," Qin Nan said after a slight ponder. "We'll work together and attack the same spot." Ji Xian nodded. He immediately performed a hand seal and summoned over 100 illusionary ancient swords from the rift. Demon Fist. Qin Nan's aura skyrocketed as he threw a punch forward. Bang! The light several thousand zhang away began to vibrate violently like ripples in water. Cracks began to appear on the spot where the two of them were attacking. "I didn't expect the glow to be so strong." Qin Nan's eyes flickered with astonishment. He immediately took hold of the opportunity and threw another punch forward. A gap around 3 zhang wide and 5 zhang tall immediately appeared. However, the gap was recovering at a pace visible to the naked eye. Chapter 2367. Why isn't there any ancient aura here? The two immediately sensed the difference in the valley as soon as they entered. Qin Nan glanced ahead and saw the valley meandering forward. The path was filled with all kinds of strange flowers and herbs, as well as severed limbs and corpses with auras. It was peaceful. The two quickly withdrew their auras and slowed down their pace as they continued forward. "Someone's here. 1, 2, 3, there are 4 auras that have reached the peak ruler realm." Ji Xian was the first to discover something and exclaimed in surprise. 4 peak rulers, no more and no less. One of them was ranked between 200 and 300 on the Heaven Pole ranking, while the other 3 were ordinary peak rulers. The 2 of them were enough to handle the situation. My divination ability is getting more and more exquisite. In this aspect, the old man was right. I am a peerless genius. Ji Xian praised himself in his heart. Don't be too happy yet. Qin Nan rolled his eyes upon seeing Ji Xian's reaction. he slowed down his pace even more. Around half the time it took an incense stick to burn, they arrived at the location of the 4 auras. The 2 climbed up a towering tree like phantoms and looked into the distance. A few thousand zhang in front of them was a spacious clearing. A young man in a white robe, with sharp eyebrows and a face like white jade, was executing a powerful martial art. A faint blue brush appeared in his hand as he placed it on the ground. There was something engraved on it. The other 3 auras were located in a cave on the cliff. Qin Nan and Ji Xian had stopped using their eye techniques to avoid alerting the enemy, so they couldn't see what was inside. Brother Lin, that guy is the Blood Taoist, ranked 231st on the Heaven Pole ranking. Don't be fooled by his appearance. In reality, he is extremely vicious and merciless. When facing an enemy, as long as a cultivator's cultivation is lower than his and he has the upper hand, he will think of ways to cripple his opponent. Ji Xian's eyes flickered with disgust as he transmitted his voice. Brother Lin, what do you think? His ranking is a little too high. He's not ranked between 299 or 250th. However, I feel that you should be able to defeat him with your strength. As for the other 3 peak sovereigns, just leave them to me. I'll definitely make them obedient. Ji Xian was full of confidence. Number 231, Qin Nan's eyes glittered, and he was just about to nod when he saw the 3 cultivators walking out of the cave. The first to come out was a skinny old man. He wore a Taoist robe with 8 trigrams, and his breathing was very labored. He seemed to be suffering from a serious illness and was very weak. Behind him was a middle-aged man with a square face. He was meticulous and awe-inspiring. There was a chilling machete hanging from his waist. The last person was a young man who was about 15 years old. He held his head in his hands and yawned from time to time. He looked very undisciplined. These 3. Qin Nan's pupils shrank slightly. Almost instinctively, he felt a sense of oppression from the strength of these 3 people. F***ck. How is that possible? Ji Xian couldn't help but curse. His eyes widened in disbelief. Who are these 3 people? Qin Nan asked telepathically. The first skinny old man is Enlightened Master Qianin, ranked 215th on the Heaven Pole list. Although he's a rogue cultivator, he's extremely talented and powerful. He's also very ruthless and has killed many cultivators. The second middle-aged man is Taoist Shang Po, ranked 201st on the Heaven Pole list. He's related to you and was once a disciple of Sword Curve System. But later, he killed his fellow disciples in order to obtain treasures and was expelled from Sword Curve System. The third young man. Ji Xian took a deep breath and said, his name is Wu Shitian, and he's from the ancient Witch clan. He's ranked 173rd on the Heaven Pole list. He's the son of the ancient Witch clan's patriarch, but because he's extremely vicious, he'll definitely hold a grudge against anyone who offends him. Their corpses will be cut into pieces. If he can't beat someone, he'll take revenge on the people around them. He was originally going to be the young patriarch of the ancient Witch clan, but because of this bad habit, he's made too many strong enemies and caused dissatisfaction among countless clansmen. Therefore, he's only an outer disciple of the ancient Witch clan. Hearing this, Qin Nan's mind was slightly shaken. What did it mean to be ranked 173rd on the Heaven Pole list? One had to know that apart from Tsang, Zhou Di, Huang Fuju, Yi Zhaoxian and a few others, the rest of the top 150 on the list were all Heavenly Master Realm giants. In other words, Wu Shitian stood at the pinnacle of all the rulers. There were only about 30 people who were stronger than him. This level was quite extraordinary, because in the current ancient era, there were too many rulers. It wasn't as withered as later generations. Generally speaking, as a ruler, being able to enter between the 299th to the 200th place on the Heaven Pole list was already extremely powerful. Countless forces and geniuses would remember your name. If you entered the top 200 of the Heaven Pole list, even if you were only ranked 199th, your name would definitely shake the great upper realm. Everyone would know about you. Just your name alone could form a huge deterrent. What's going on? Why are these 4 people all gathered together? Why are they all here? Ji Xian was completely dumbfounded. Countless doubts surged in his mind. Ji Xian, what did you say just now? I'll leave the 3 of them to you, right? Then I'll let you deal with the 3 of them later. Qin Nan came back to his senses and said expressionlessly. This guy was really tough. With his current combat strength, if he were to deal with one of them, even if he were to encounter Wu Shitian, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. However, the other party was a total of 4 famous existences on the Heaven Pole list. How could they deal with them? That won't do. With my current cultivation, how could I possibly be a match for the 3 of them? Ji Xian jumped in fright and immediately realized something. His face instantly turned red, and he wished he could find a tree hole to hide in. Thinking about what he had said to Qin Nan just now, looking at the current situation, how was this auspicious? This was clearly a disaster. Ahem, Qin Nan, although the 4 of them are very strong, we haven't fought yet, right? Let's retreat and continue to go deeper. Maybe we can obtain a peerless opportunity. Chapter 2368. Qin Nan's heart skipped a beat. Had they been discovered? Wu Shitian's senses were extraordinary. Ji Xian felt a chill in his heart. He immediately transmitted his voice. Brother Lin, what should we do now? These 4 are all masters who kill people like scything flax. Should we just run away like this? Once we show up, they will definitely. Before he could finish, Qin Nan said, Don't be hasty. Let's observe the situation first. After saying this, Qin Nan grabbed Ji Xian's shoulder and flew to the top of the tree. The 2 of us were following the strange phenomenon and came to this place by chance. We didn't expect the 4 of you to be here a long time ago. Please forgive us for disturbing you just now. The 2 of us will take our leave now. Qin Nan brought his fists together. A greater success ruler and a peak ruler? Enlightened Master Qian Yin's voice was hoarse. The auras in their bodies are very powerful too. They are not ordinary greater success rulers. Taoist Shang Pa said expressionlessly. Nothing. The blood Taoist, who was ranked the lowest, curled his lip. The 3 of them acted as if they had not heard Qin Nan's words. Since the 2 of you are here and have noticed us, you should pretend that you didn't come, right? How about this? I'm in a good mood today. The 2 of you should swear an oath that you won't tell anyone about what happened here. Wu Shitian still had a sloppy look on his face as he said, Secondly, my request is not high. The 2 of you just have to kowtow to the 4 of us and then you can leave. Do you think it's okay? Ji Xian's eyes widened. He subconsciously said, You want me to kowtow to you? You're all delusional. Qin Nan's eyes turned cold too. You have quite a temper. Enlightened Master Qian Yin and the others watched the scene as if they were watching a good show. They had no intention of interfering or saying anything. That's right. I like cultivators with guts like you. If you're seriously tortured, then... Wu Shitian clapped his hands and said, his eyes showing admiration. However, the moment he said this, Qin Nan suddenly sensed something. He immediately used the skystride blow and disappeared from the top of the tree with Ji Xian, moving to another side. Boom! Above the towering tree where the 2 of them were, an incomparably violent energy suddenly surged out. Like a peerless immortal sword, it forcefully slashed the tree into 2 halves. The aura surged, and the leaves danced in the air. They're actually playing this trick. Ji Xian couldn't help but curse. His back was drenched in cold sweat. This killing intent came without anyone noticing. If it wasn't for Lin Xiaoji's quick reaction, by the time he reacted, he would have suffered quite a bit of damage. Wu Shitian raised his eyebrows. Interesting. The Thousand-Yin Taoist nodded slightly, as if he was appraising some treasure. Retreat! Qin Nan shouted in a low voice. He immediately activated the immortal demon art to its peak state. Vast devil intent evolved into a pair of wings and flap. Little brother Lin, I'll give you a boost. Ji Xian also reacted and activated an amazing cultivation technique. At the same time, he also took out 2 mysterious talismans and threw them out. Qin Nan suddenly felt that his whole body was supported by a mysterious power, causing his whole body to become much lighter. His speed at least doubled. With his current cultivation, it would be very difficult for him to double his speed. You actually have such a good thing? Qin Nan was a little surprised. Yes, traveling in the immortal realm, how can I not have something to escape with? Little brother Lin, don't worry, I have a lot of good brothers with me. Although I tricked you this time, I can definitely help you escape. Ji Xian said solemnly. Are you always tricked by divination, so you have to prepare so many escape methods? How do you know? No, I don't, this is just an accident. The 2 of them went back the way they came. Not bad, your speed is not bad. You 3 can continue, I'll be back soon. Wu Shitian nodded slightly. The moment his voice fell, a total of 3 arts of Tao seeking were activated in his body at the same time. What was strange was that these 3 arts of Tao seeking were Buddha, Devil and Wu. These 3 were all in conflict with each other. They were like fire and water. However, in his body there was no conflict and they were extremely compatible. Whoosh! Wu Shitian executed a peerless movement technique, immediately causing the entire canyon to be filled with rapid sounds of breaking through the air. His whole body turned into a peerless rainbow, instantly crossing a great distance. Wherever he passed, the void would shatter like a brilliant meteor. Such fast speed! Qin Nan and Ji Xian were shocked at the same time. Keep moving forward and create a gap, I'll stop him. Qin Nan immediately made up his mind. He let out a roar and executed the arts of Tao seeking, unleashing brilliant rays of light. Qin Nan used the power of the rules of a mortal demon to summon a peerless demonic saber and slashed forward. The roars of countless demon gods immediately rang out from the unseen world. On top of it, 11 different saber intents surged forward from both sides. From afar, Qin Nan's slash was like a peerless flood that could drown everything in the world. Not bad. Wu Shitian's eyes faintly shone with a light. His shocking speed increased further. Meanwhile, he performed a hand seal, unleashing a formidable ripple in all directions, summoning 3 enormous dragons. The 3 dragons were golden, black, and blue respectively. They circled Wu Shitian's figure. The golden and black dragon's head floated on his shoulders, while the blue dragon's head merged with his head, as if Wu Shitian was wearing the armor of dragons. Like armor. Martial arts fist. Wu Shitian dashed forward and threw over 10,000 punches in the blink of an eye. In less than a breath's time, the destructive force completely destroyed the saber intents, while the remaining force of the punch swept toward the 2 like a ferocious storm. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.